Happy
Penis.
New Year, guys.
Hello, everybody. This is the Politicrats on a very, very somber episode of the. Well, this isn't the Political Pigpen this time. This is just a very last-minute episode that we're focusing on.
Welcome to the 538 Emergency Podcast.
Yes, the 538 Emergency Podcast, where we're talking about the recent passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We probably all have different opinions on her and what she did, but she did have a very illustrious career serving on the American Supreme Court for, God, how many years? Was it since the 80s?
I think she started back in the 80s or 70s.
Okay, so hold on. Let me turn this down. But yeah, no. So yes, as I was saying, she had a very illustrious career involved in a lot of civil liberties cases. Before that, she did work for the ACLU, as we all know, and she did a bunch of other stuff. I am not a Ruth Bader Ginsburg expert. Maybe some of you are. If anybody wants to, if anybody who knows her accomplishments specifically wants to say anything.
Basically, any big victory for liberals in the Supreme Court she was a part of.
Yeah.
So, like, B. Hodges, I guess this recent Dockery versus Clayton County, all the big stuff.
But yeah, no. But what I liked about her, like personally, she's not crazy like Sotomayor.
She does seem to be kind of a chill person to have a beer with.
No, exactly. No, she was a lot more.
Can't have a beer with her right now.
Oof. No, she was a lot more centrist though than a lot of other Democrats on the Supreme Court. Honestly, like, I mean, she wasn't a constitutionalist in the same way Scalia was necessarily, but she definitely was more constitutionalist than like any other Democrat who's been on the Supreme Court in decades.
Which is saying a lot, you know. It's like,
exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. But so yeah, does anybody want to start by giving their own personal thoughts? Let's start with. Well, actually, no. Let's all introduce ourselves tonight, since this is a pretty large panel. Just do some like a quick 30-second introduction. Let's start with you, Ray.
Okay, fair enough. So my name is Ray Murasami, and I'm a cultural commentator and a political analyst from the perspective of the Third Worldist Tendency. I'm an advocate of post-colonial feminism. I operate a live stream channel known as Stage 501. The website is stage501.com. My live streams are focused on current events. I'm always willing to talk to people from all sides of the political spectrum. And also, full disclosure, I'm also a systems analyst, and I work for a defense contractor.
Okay, great to have you on, Ray. This is your first time.
You profited from the Iraq War. That's pretty based. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
Imagine making money. It's kind of like, why not, you know?
Yeah.
As long as it's there, somebody's gonna make it. I'm glad you did.
All right, Fogg. What about you? Want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Fogg. I'm somewhere right at center.
Political. I thought you said fuck it first. It was like...
Fogg, say that again because I think someone was talking.
Sure. I'm Fogg. I'm somewhere right at center. I do a lot of political philosophy. I don't really have anything public under this name, but I'm influenced by people like probably Popetta Notestev, DeMace, them, that old crowd. So
okay. Grayson, this is your second time here. Want to introduce yourself again?
Sure. I'm Grayson. I'm a Hungarian American who generally falls to liberal conservative philosophy. I'm working with the Hill of Roses right now, but I probably shouldn't have mentioned that because they probably won't like the fact I just advertised it on this show. But other than that, I'm Grayson.
Voltaire, you are a regular. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fine. I'm Volt. I'm active on Twitter, and sometimes I do Ray stream, and that's pretty much it.
Alcazai, welcome back.
Well, I'm an erotic teenager on the internet. I don't do anything particularly special. I was banned off of Twitter, but you can follow my friend at Kenny Shippler, and that Shippler is spelled SCHIPPL.
Oh, I thought you said Shittler.
No, Shippler.
Okay.
He's not me. He's my friend. Twitter, Jack. He's my friend. It's not me. I swear to God.
All right. So, yeah, welcome back, Alkazai. And for the second time, we have on Theodore, Crowdfunded Government. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you are currently trying to do?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Theodore
problem.
with crowdfundedgovernment.com, at crowdfundedgov on Twitter. I am running for the chair of the Libertarian Party. I'd like to end the Libertarian Party. I think it's terrible. People say I'm not a libertarian, therefore. And you know what? I guess I agree with them because I'm the kind of person that just wants to do what's right for freedom. So maybe I'm not a libertarian. I don't know what you call it. And as far as the Supreme Court goes, I think it's the worst institution. It federalizes everything, nationalizes everything, increases the power of the federal government way past what the Constitution should allow for. So with that, thank you for having me.
All right. And again, we have another regular, LSB, aka Celestial. How are you doing tonight, Celestial?
I'm doing all right. I am LSB. You can call me Chris, whatever. I am a liberal socialist. I am a just regular internet citizen. I'm just fucking stopping by because I have some opinions and I like to share them. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Always good to have you on. And finally, last but certainly not least, the Mop.
Yo, how's everybody doing? I'm a fucking politically homeless Zoomer with no strong opinions on a lot of things. So I'm just here to talk shit and politics and shit. If you guys need a video editor, anyone needs any videos edited, I can do that shit pretty fucking good.
How's my Richard Spencer Stormfront?
Oh shit, I forgot about that. I can do that right now. Like, I can multitask.
Yeah. No. So I'm doing a video on where I'm making a video comparing extreme like SJW posts on the internet with posts on Stormfront, the neo-Nazi website. And the thumbnail is going to be, I think it's going to be Trigglypuff juxtaposed with the character Stormfront from the comic book series The Boys with Richard Spencer's face put on it. So
in the TV show, she's a girl now, but I don't know if
I actually like that change. I think it's
do you want to give Richard? Do you want me to give Richard Spencer titties? I can do that.
No,
No,
just do what I told you to. Anyway, guys, so welcome back again. Let's start talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her recent death. Personally, I don't think that the next few weeks are going to be very good. Let's start there.
Were they ever going to be good?
No, but I think they're going to be worse now. Anybody want to weigh in?
I mean, I guess I'll jump in then. I mean, the stakes are a lot higher than they were before, at least in people's perception now, because prior to this, I think people didn't really understand the gravity of the election that is coming up in the United States. And now this incident that's happened today has really raised the profile. So you're seeing a lot of people on social media, a lot of people in the news, etc., are now all sort of taking stock of where they really are. I mean, Donald Trump himself actually went and appeared at a rally earlier on this evening, and basically said that the next president gets to choose between 1 to 4 justices, hypothetically. And so he himself said that it's the most consequential election that you'll probably have in a generation. I'm inclined to agree, although obviously for reasons that are entirely different from his. For people who are in the, let's say, sane political camp, at this point, if you're not voting for Joseph Biden, then I don't know what you're doing. We're at the point where even if you were like a neoconservative in the year 2004 or something, when you fast forward to the year 2020, you've got to be a Joseph Biden Democrat now, because otherwise, I don't know what kind of road you're expecting to go down.
Is there anybody else in the chat who thinks that the Supreme Court is authoritarian and no matter which brand of it or whoever gets in there, it's just going to continue increasing government power? I mean, it's like, why does it matter that there's going to be a different justice?
So I want to
I want to address that just a second, and then I'll let you also come in as well, Mark.
So personally, what I think we should do, I think that the way the Supreme Court is currently structured, it presents a conflict of interest, because you have the president who appoints a Supreme Court judge, and it's become in recent. Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I think this is actually one of the weaker parts of how our government was originally structured by the framers of the Constitution.
I think
because Supreme Court justices, especially since FDR, I think, and even maybe even further back since Wilson, have essentially become an extension, a de facto extension of presidential power. I do not like that. I think it is a conflict of interest that one branch gets to completely appoint another. And then often the approval process from Congress is nothing more than political theater. What I think should happen is, so I don't know if there's any Catholics here. Actually, I know there's at least one Catholic here. How you doing again, Fog?
Keep calling me out.
Yeah. But anyway, no, so, but yeah, no, so basically I think what we should do when appointing a new Supreme Court justice is we should do it like how the Pope is appointed. So what we should do is we should get all the federal judges get into a room, and they have to select between them who the next Supreme Court justice is going to end up being. Like 2/3 of them end up selecting it.
That's actually I really like that.
That's intriguing.
Sounds good idea. But I mean, I just want to also mention something that will probably come up later on, because I think that Theodore was already heading in that direction. I don't know if you'll agree with the way that I'm going to look at this, but I often feel that these tussles that the Americans are having over the way that law is interpreted stems from the fact that many of these issues should have been worked out on the political level and haven't actually been done at the political level in the first place. So even if you end up with a case, let's say that that Trump and Mitch McConnell are able to somehow appoint another Supreme Court justice before the election happens. I mean, that's unlikely to occur, right? But let's imagine for a second that this were possible. One of the ways to get around the negative side effects of this would be to actually write good legislation in Congress and to put that legislation through to a president who will sign that legislation into law, and then have that legislation be written in a way that is so airtight that the Supreme Court has nothing to really, pick apart in that legislation other than to say this is what it means and it will be implemented as such. So, I mean, we're having conversations about Roe v. Wade, for example, or conversations about, other things like commerce and this, that, and the other. A lot of these things are essentially broken pieces of legislation or broken United States law that has essentially been kicked down the court into the Supreme Court's jurisdiction, and they have been essentially making the decision on how these things should be interpreted. Had these things been resolved through an actual bill that grants the appropriate civil rights to people that they should have, then you wouldn't have to involve the Supreme Court in the minutiae of these activities in the first place.
Great point. We are in 100% agreement on that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the broader problem is that a lot of the ideas about the Supreme Court and the president and what powers they should have are kind of built on this faulty idea that every branch of the federal government should be equal, which is just not how the Constitution was written.
No, the president
was
supposed to be the weakest executive.
Yes, exactly. The founding fathers clearly intended for the executive to be the weakest branch of government. And if you're looking, I mean, even with executive like power creep, you could call it, even with that, if you look at the judicial branch as also an extension of executive power, I mean, we need to really scale back on both at this point.
Yeah, because like
totally. What do you guys think of term? What do you guys think of term limits?
Great idea.
I think they're going to do. I also, to a certain, that's why I have mixed views on Marbury v. Madison, which set the precedent for judicial review. To a certain extent, I think it's very useful to have the courts check on the power of the federal government, but at the same time, it's used to effectively write legislation. Like
who says no on term limits here?
I mean, I don't know where I stand on that one because I'm usually skeptical about term limits in general. Because
the argument is
to have incentivized like very strange forms of corruption where you have this revolving door that's incentivized because then you know exactly when someone's going to enter or leave office.
But then
the argument is though that it's not supposed to be corruptible. That's the argument of why they do the lifetime, so that way they won't be swayed by the waves of politics, and we see how that works out.
Look at Pelosi. Exactly. Like, I mean, it's pretty much determined that she's going to win every single election that she runs on until she dies.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that it may be that it's maybe a grass is green on the other side thing, that if you introduce term limits, you may end up with something far worse, because Brazil has already experimented with what happens when you implement term limits in congressional politics, for example, and the level of corruption actually increased.
What if the answer is term limits and do what you said about making laws more of a legislative thing instead of a judicial thing?
First of all, I think Fogg had something he was about to say.
Well, I was going to say Pelosi's one of the more stabilizing forces in Congress. I think, when you introduce term limits, you remove long-term incentive structures for legislators.
That is true because I mean you see
I agree.
especially in Pelosi's district, and you see this in a lot of places in California. The Republicans usually don't vote for the Republican; they usually vote for the moderate Democrat in the primaries. So you'll have a lot of conservatives who will register as Democrats for the California primaries, and they'll go and they will vote for, say, Pelosi over like green hair socialist lady. I don't know.
Butler.
Well,
Shadid Butler.
I
I don't
think
know. It was just random. Oh, yes.
that what we could do is have direct democracy.
Oh boy.
No,
And-
why? Why is that a good idea? Argue for it.
We could
Why should 51% of people
because-
control the other 49%?
Let him finish, Jesus.
well, if we had direct democracy with the Constitution, which would be the only thing that you couldn't change, then you would essentially not have that situation because nobody's rights would be able to be violated that way, right?
I don't see your argument, though. The reason for a republic instead of a democracy is to prevent the waves of populism from destroying the state.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
but
mean-
that
I mean,
rests
one
on the
powerful- No, go
that
ahead.
rests on the idea that the more like that more people having a say will inherently destroy any state or any kind of
That's implying
like
that it gives people more of a say. That's your
institution.
opinion. That's your opinion that direct democracy gives people more of a say, quote unquote.
It does by necessity give people more of a
Not-
say.
Not by implication, though. So yeah,
Wait,
by strict
Celestial.
dictionary definition, yes, but implication,
Celestial,
no.
I was not aware that. Hold on. Celestial was a Caesarist.
Caesarism.
I just think that
I mean, a
I just
Caesarist
think
is
that-
somebody who essentially believes in direct democracy, because direct democracy ultimately leads to democratic autocracy, which is Caesarism,
Thank
which
you.
is the
democratic
democratic
I
autocracy.
mean, explain democratic hypocrisy.
Autocracy. It is basically so. It is when it's known as Caesarism or Bonapartism. It is when you have a dictatorship of the plebiscite, essentially. So it is when you expand democracy to a certain extent where everybody has a say, and then they ultimately end up voting for an authoritarian leader that represents the will of the people. Instead of being legitimized by something, say, like the divine right of kings, he is being he's legitimized by the absolute will of the people. And ultimately, that will end up eroding the very democratic institutions that ended up getting him elected in the first place. Like, this is a historical reality. It has happened
Yeah.
in every single
Would you
situation.
have a leader?
I mean, you could even say that the United States is experiencing something akin to this right now. Just in
No,
the
Trump is
context of
Trump is what I call a proto Caesar. Essentially,
It's-
he's basically a Crassus. He's basically a Crassus.
Well,
it's
look,
it's
I think,
good.
I think like the ideals of direct democracy are noble in the sense that it's giving more people the opportunity to express themselves politically. But at the scale at which the United States functions, I would not want our federal government to be directly democratic. However, on a more local, state, county, town level, I think more direct systems would be more laudable because like at that scale they probably function better, right? This is
Yeah.
kind of a question of scale.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah,
states
well-
function that way anyway, because that's how a lot of states change their constitution is through like a direct vote.
What do
So,
you guys
I
think?
mean,
Wait,
this is
well,
one of
yeah,
those
you
things
could
where
do
I guess if you
that.
had like a
And that would-
Switzerland style model, so long as you don't violate the constitution of the federal government, obviously, because I can imagine people bringing up an unlimited number of bizarre plebiscites against minority groups that they don't like.
So what do you guys think of
Me, the boys,
wait.
bringing up a petition to ban women in the Swiss government.
what do you guys think of what Texas how Texas gets their judges? Like, do you guys know that I didn't learn this until about February, but apparently Texas, they vote directly on their judges.
Bunch of states do that. Oklahoma doesn't. I think Missouri does it too.
I think North Carolina does that too.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense.
I don't think so.
Actually, no. That could be extremely harmful because let's
Yeah.
say, for example, you are living in it's just a matter of politicization. Just now, it's politicized in a slightly different way. So instead of having like Republican
It's
representatives
universal,
now
it's a very-
deciding to elect a judge to a particular position, now it's the voters who voted Republican get to elect their judge to a position. It's like the same thing, just with more people now.
Yeah,
It's unthinkable to me that the idea of interpreting the Constitution is a political idea as opposed to a pure legal effort.
Mm.
Yeah, I
mean,
don't.
this
I don't
is why.
like the idea of electing judges because it's like it makes it even more partisan than it is now. I think that's
You should apply that logic to the whole of government, and then we'll be on the same team.
I think that
Wait,
Alexander's
Fog,
going in the
didn't
right
you say-
direction there, but it leads to what Politicrat said at the beginning, which probably was the best idea of all, which is that you can get around this entire problem by having judges be the ones to elect Supreme Court judges.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
eliminates
like-
the whole conflict of interest aspect of it.
But aren't
Or
judges
what I
still
see as a
elected by wait? But doesn't the president still appoint judges? So isn't that just kind of shifting the bullet down the line?
We should get rid of that. That's what
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
saying.
it's a problem,
okay.
isn't
Then how do we appoint those judges?
Then the president can appoint those judges. I'm fine with that.
Is it judges just all? Is it judges just all the way down? Like
it? Oh my goodness.
No, that would be
Oh,
judges all the way down.
Oh my.
That would be fun.
I think that's the name of the episode, right? That's a contender.
Judges all the way
seriously,
down.
name of the episode Judges all the way down.
How are cardinals chosen? Let's see what would that do for federal judges.
Yeah.
Just as long as there's smoke at the end, right? I need either white or black smoke, or I'm not.
why does
I'm
it
not
wait?
in.
No,
If
we
we're-
should
if
do
we're-
red,
if we're-
red, white, and blue smoke.
No, check it.
there you go.
No, it's just come to me as an idea, and this is probably going to be the worst idea ever because it's only been vetted by 5 seconds of thought. But imagine if all of the governors of the 50 states were the ones who voted to decide what the judges were, and then it's judges all the way down.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh my god, no.
Wait,
Oh
what?
man.
Then you just create the same thing because the governors are going to be.
Well, but because see, the governors might be partisan, but there's going to be a more even split than one man with one political party.
It's great to
Oh,
introduce the idea that states should have a bigger vote. I like the ideas that do that.
So, what are the prospects of having like a conservative majority Supreme Court now?
I don't know, attacking abortion rights, but I highly doubt they'll go after Roe v. Wade.
No, I honestly don't think that. No, that it's going to be terrible for optics, and that's the one reason they're going to go by it.
I somehow doubt that they won't go after Roe v. Wade.
Dude, no, conservatives
because-
love optics. They love like this is the thing. Conservatives are very, very sly these days, or not even because it's just the right in general, in how they go about doing things. Like, did you guys watch the RNC? Whoever put that on was fucking brilliant.
No, they weren't. That was
That
was
was a
completely
shit
crazy.
show of epic proportions.
No, you don't think it? You don't. You don't think it was? It was way less incompetent than the Democrats' YouTube Rewind.
Well,
I
Well,
mean,
to be fair, it is.
I mean, I suppose it
kind of-
depends on your audience.
dude, okay, okay. My one thing is like, whose idea was it to put on the McCloskeys? Like, why the fuck do we care what they think? Fuck the McCloskeys. I don't care.
No.
I mean, that was pretty cringe. I mean, I do lean towards like I think the McCloskeys were in the right for what they did.
I mean, they
But,
were,
like,
but at the same
But
time,
there's no point. They are irrelevant though.
yeah, like
They
the-
really. I don't think they were. Because what they did essentially was brandish weapons at
On their
people.
property, you can brandish
Okay.
weapons on your property if you want.
So those people weren't on their property. First,
Yeah,
of
they
all.
were. They were. Fact check. Check Snopes.
Hey, can we read the article about?
Let's go. Actually, if I'm wrong about that, then fact check my ass because I 100% would like
No,
to see
I just
that.
want to read an article about the Supreme Court who died, the justice.
Actually, let's just stick with the topic. I really don't want to go off topic tonight.
Okay, sure.
He knows he's wrong.
But
I
Oh,
linked,
well, Kirk Wilcox, what he just said. I think he's extremely correct about this. Like, I mean, I think the culture war is bad and it's annoying, and I think all the woke shit. I mean, it gets on my nerves. But that is not the most important. That is not the single most important issue right now. And the Republicans are basically turning it into. I mean, I don't want to say it's a molehill, but they are turned. But it's not quite a mountain.
It's what is it like a mound, a baseball mound?
It's like it's like it's basically a it's one of the Appalachian Mountains. It's not one of the Rocky Mountains.
No, it's the tallest point in Florida, which is like 327 feet above sea
No, I
level.
wouldn't say that. I'd say maybe the tallest point in Virginia. It's like Old Rag.
Oh, you mean like
It's like Old Rag
Mount
in
Rogers is
Shenandoah
like
National Park.
Well,
I've been meaning to find that for a while.
I live near there, so I know what you're talking about.
It's not
that-
Pikes Peak or it's not Long's Peak. It's not like one of those. But yeah,
The
no. But I
problem
think
is that,
would you guys agree that Kirk's kind of right in this case?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is literally
Yeah, Kirk's based.
Yeah,
What
I
was Kirk right? Hold on.
don't disagree
And
at
what
all.
was Kirk right? Hold on.
Wait, well, okay, Celestial. What do you disagree with there?
I said I don't disagree with that at all. But
Oh,
can
I
I
thought you
say
said you
while I
did.
have the opportunity, that yes, the Democrats their convention was cringe. It was boomer cringe. But the Republican convention was an insane clown fest that went on and on with the most batshit crazy people that I have ever seen on a stage.
Okay, so maybe
On
it
a
was
stage.
maybe it was
Okay.
better to me because I was like stoned as fuck when I was watching it.
Oh, you were high? What the fuck? Why didn't you share?
What?
You didn't share with me. How dare you? I'm offended.
No, I didn't. No, but it was yeah.
It was all boomer cringe. I
It
think-
was
No.
all boomer. No, okay. So what I thought was
what do you think
crazy
Charlie
was
Kirk is right about?
no. I was about to say Charlie Kirk. I cannot believe they chose him to open it. And I actually have a personal vendetta against Charlie Kirk because he got my first Twitter account banned because I called him a mean name because he said that Donald Trump is the reason we are now allies with North Korea. So I got banned for like calling him. I don't know if I'm allowed to. I mean, I'm not monetized, so I'll just say it. I called him a retard, which I usually don't like that word. But what he
Well, I
said,
love
I
that
think
word. That's my
what he
favorite
said, I
word.
think merited it.
Unironically, I think I love saying the word retard, but that's what got me banned. I sent a picture to a Nazi that said, "Here's your cum burger, retard," and I got banned. That's how much of a degenerate I am.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Thanks, Volt. I appreciate it.
Who did we lose?
I don't know.
You.
I think
Oh,
Theodore
yeah.
dropped.
Oh, Theodore's coming back.
Sorry, guys.
Welcome back, Theodore.
Yeah, there
Sorry
he
about that. Continue.
Okay, so anyway, Theodore, I understand you were not the biggest fan of Ginsburg.
Sorry, the biggest fan of what?
I understand you were not the biggest fan of Ginsburg.
It's not actually Ginsburg. I don't have a problem with. I think she's equally bad. That every Supreme Court is moving in the wrong direction. Every decision makes me sick, and occasionally you get a little bit of individual liberty in a decision or two, but dream on in the future.
What about Gorsuch? You like Gorsuch?
So back over a decade
like
ago, I
this.
went to college for political science, social policy, political science, all these different ideas. Right, I had to memorize all this BS about who was all 9 justices, and I had to memorize like 500 cases. And it's like, dude, it's like I can't keep them all straight. They're all the same to me. And like, if you look at the big picture.
Damn, bro, don't cut yourself with all that edge.
I'm sorry. I'm just somebody who I can't believe that the Supreme Court doesn't even read the Constitution at this point. It's been 200 years of just garbage takes.
I mean, I think Scalia did.
What about Clarence Thomas?
Clarence Thomas is kind of sucks.
I'm glad you guys disagree and you think the Supreme Court does a good job at increasing individual liberty over the long run. So that's a good opinion to have. Like, who agrees or disagrees with me? More importantly,
I don't agree or disagree. I think it's a case-by-case basis. I guess I'm a bit like Heraclitus on this, where I think it's all a matter of flux and strife. If anybody knows Greek philosophy, I don't know.
I mean, my point was occasionally there's a little bit of individual liberty in some Supreme Court decisions, but they're all garbage. Like, in the end, it's like it all leads to tyranny. It's ridiculous.
Theodore,
Well, I mean, since we're on that topic, and
Great, can I tell Theodore
I'm-
something?
Yeah, actually, Voltaire. You
Please.
No, it's just gonna be a joke.
Yes.
I like to say, fuck your individual liberty.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I approve of your right to say that. Thank you. That's amazing.
But I don't. I
getting
approve of
off
it. I might disagree with what you say, but I will defend for your right.
I'll die on that hill every day, baby. Say some stupid stuff. Say as stupid stuff as you want, because other
Okay.
people either agree or disagree. You know what I mean? It's like I'll die on that hill, man. I love whenever people say something.
Speaking
I'm
of
like,
hills,
okay.
speaking of hills to die on, cuties.
Oh no.
Oh no!
I want to
Nope.
make some edgy jokes, but I don't want to get you banned off YouTube.
So,
really think
yeah,
you-
so you're sure you want to talk about that child pornographic
I
film?
don't. I don't
No,
want to talk
moving
about
on.
cuties.
We're not
Can we
talking-
talk
we're not
about the
talking about-
Supreme Court again?
We're not talking about child porn. No.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
If you can't make a wait. Why not talk about just condemn it outright? If you don't condemn it, then you're probably a
Oh no,
pedo.
child
Of course,
porn
a
is-
libertarian
child-
comes on. You guys want to talk about child porn? Of course.
No, okay,
Always.
okay.
Jeez.
Wait, hold on. What's your
Child
take,
porn-
Theo?
Child porn is degenerate, along with most other porn, but it's the most degenerate kind of porn.
And the most evil kind of porn.
Yes, and the most evil kind
I
of porn.
don't think that child porn can even be fucking categorized in with the same thing as other porn.
No, I can
Other
agree.
porn-
I can
most
agree with
other
that.
porn, okay. Let's say you have porn that is made exploitatively of an adult. That is maybe not just as wrong, but that's still wrong, right? But consensual porn that is made consensually between adults is not wrong. It is not the same thing as child porn at all, and it is actually pretty fucking based.
So I know that people say that libertarians want a lot of child porn, but I know a lot of libertarians with oversized wood chippers for no good reason. So watch out, guys.
Honestly,
Okay.
honestly,
Okay,
I
child
think
porn is
I think
bad.
I
Can we
think
talk
I
about
think
the
it
Supreme Court
violates.
again,
I think it
please?
violates the NAP.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
wait. Okay, can I make this joke? From
I just made a
Sargon?
pretty bad one, so go ahead.
Nah, it's terrible. I don't want this stream to get banned.
Okay, can we talk about the Supreme Court? We all think child porn is bad.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So
Child
I'm gonna go
porn
through the
bad.
article.
Yeah,
article
Wow,
That's
such
a
a
hot
such
take.
a momentous
Such a hot
occasion.
take.
So
Child
wait,
porn good. Child porn bad.
No, I'm not,
No,
guys.
let's
I'm not like Vosh. I think child porn is bad.
Okay, let's
Oh.
let's ask a serious question though. What do you think of a living constitution versus a original interpretation of the Constitution?
Okay, so for me, I used to be for a living constitution, and I like the idea of it, just changing it with the context of the times. But then there is a bit of a slippery slope there, where because I mean we all know that we do not live in an ideal world. Basically, what is the number one thing that all human beings, just in the state of nature, desire above all else? No, I mean maybe not above all else, but what is the one motivating factor, the one desire that is intrinsic to every single human being?
Fuck.
Security.
Fuck.
Power. The desire for power.
That sucks.
Power.
It's fucking. No.
It's
Well,
not
okay,
decide,
okay,
it's
you're right.
fucking.
Okay, Celestial, you're right there. But I'm just saying power in general. Well, I mean, but anyway. Anyway, okay, no, there's actually this, speaking of which, there's actually this good quote I heard. I forget who it was who said it, but it was like, everything is about sex except for sex, and sex is about power. I forget who said that. I think it was.
That sounds like from House of Cards.
Yes,
Actually,
that's what it was from.
It's not.
Oh wait,
from
wait,
the-
wait!
That's what it was.
It's. I think it was from Oliver.
I think it was House of Cards.
It was from Oliver. His name is Oliver.
Was it the? No, Frank Luke.
Oliver. Oliver Wilde.
No, it was the British. I think it was the British.
Oscar Wilde.
Oscar Wilde.
That sounds like an Oscar Wilde quote. But anyway,
Yeah, it is.
No, but the
Oscar
thing is-
Wilde.
but back to the living constitution thing. The thing is, with the concept of the living constitution, you're going to have people in power who have their own agendas. And when they have their own agendas, they're going to constantly try to change it to reinterpret, not necessarily in the context of what modern society needs or wants, but what will benefit them and their own goals more. That is basically what people in power
My-
are fundamentally motivated by. I
my
mean,
thing
all you
is
have to
that,
do,
like,
all you have to do is just read The Machiavellians by James Burnham. That will that is like Power 101 if you want to
So
get an introduction to that. I don't know.
okay, there's
I
been
would
a
recommend.
deep-
Yeah.
okay, there's been, if anyone been paying attention from like the American conservative right about their case against quote unquote judicial activism. It's basically boiled down to the concern is that judges should not make law, but their job is to interpret law and ensure there is a just process of that. Do you think over the years there's been a erosion of that justices and judges are making laws instead of implying the law? No?
Yeah, there's definitely because that's what a lot of the Constitution now does. Because the case Dockery versus Clayton County or Docker, whatever the guy's name was, they basically reinterpreted the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And to be fair, the logic wasn't entirely terrible because the reasoning is that the reason you discriminate against trans people is because of their sex, and they changed their sex. So it logically follows that they should receive protection from that. So I kind of see what they're going through, but in effect, that's still pretty passing legislation.
My stance on the 1964 Civil Rights Act is that, on principle, I don't like a lot of what it does. However, if I were ever elected, I would never try to vote to repeal it or anything because that is terrible optics.
As a libertarian, I have to disagree with the 1964 Civil Rights Act, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
It's like a terrible use of federal power while states were slowly but surely getting to where we are now in 2020. It's like it's all gonna work out. It's like we don't have to make these sweeping because if they can do it, if the federal government can do it on your side, they can do it against you, and they will.
So
Precisely.
would you support the late 1950s versions of the Civil Rights Bill?
I'm unaware of the distinction. I'm a decade out of college, man. I'm an idiot about politics now. I think I should end the Libertarian Party. I don't know anything about politics. You know what I mean?
I'm dumb. Is Barry Goldwater, the Libertarian Republican, voted for the 50s version, but was opposed to the 1964 version?
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
He was opposed. I don't know if he voted for the 50s one, but he was opposed to the 1964 one.
I think he voted for the 50s one because it just ended segregation, and the 64 added a lot of expanded federal power. So
The thing about being against the civil rights is not like I'm against civil rights, right? It's like exactly what you literally, the words that just came out of your mouth. You nailed it. I want to retweet what you just.
What did I just say?
What did you just say?
Sorry, what's that? Hold on. I just goofed up the mute button.
What did I say?
I don't remember. You said it. I have a 7-second attention span and I don't like to read, dude. Don't put me to the test.
Are you retarded?
Yes! I already said that 3 times, dude.
I think it's a pretty.
I don't remember what you said, and I don't know why it's my job to tell you what you said.
Okay.
Calm down. Fuck me.
Okay,
I think it's a pretty fundamental misunderstanding of how, like, freedom and liberty work.
I mean, the thing is, we also need to remember what the founding fathers originally intended. They did not intend the Constitution to change with it. Like, original intent was not for it to be a living constitution. That was not the original purpose of the Constitution. They created it in a specific way so that the government would stay constrained in the way that. I mean, they understood that times would change, but they were not
really supposed to last about a decade.
That's kind of. I thought that was a myth.
Oh, I think he's attributing that Ben Franklin quote that he hopes that he was kind of pessimistic about the Republican future. It would probably only last a decade or something.
Yeah, wasn't that the point? It was supposed to last 20 or 30 years and then write a new one. That's what a lot of them were thinking. Like, there will be a revolution against all the tyrants. And I mean, George Washington was a tyrant. So he understood. Like, he was in charge. And, like, his friends were like, dude, one day we're going to rewrite this thing and kill all the tyrants.
Wait, how was George Washington a fucking tyrant?
How was George Washington a tyrant? Well, we can start with the many undeclared wars that they fought. One of them was, like, the Whiskey Rebellion or something. And it's like...
That was a tax rebellion, and
tax rebellion. Sorry.
Let me defend Washington from a legalistic standpoint. The Constitution did permit suppression of internal rebellions or revolts, so it did legally permit that, and that was
what permitted that?
Legal is not moral, my
No,
friend.
what are you talking? Did you say the Constitution permitted something before the Constitution was written?
Wait, what? When was the Whiskey Rebellion?
The
Was that
Articles of Confederation
1797?
were active during the Articles of Confederation were active during the Whiskey Rebellion.
No,
not the
they weren't.
Constitution.
The Whiskey Rebellion was in like early 1790s.
Did I screw up
sure?
the order?
Yeah.
Whatever the tax rebellions were doing in Washington is what I'm talking about. And hell, yeah, tax rebellions are awesome. That's how this country was founded, y'all.
Are you
Whiskey Rebellion started in 1791 and ended in 1794.
Okay, yeah, that by then.
Legalism, guys.
By
No,
then,
moralism.
yeah.
Legalism is legal is not moral, my friend.
No,
Someone in the chat
I'm
is
making a
saying-
joke. I'm making a joke. No, look at the graphic I put up.
Well,
I
somebody said that. Oh, it's legal. I don't remember who said it because there's 9 people in
Shi
here.
Huangdi. He was an emperor. Never mind.
Plus, also, I don't care what you consider to be moral. To be honest,
What? In Nazi Germany, it was legal to kill Jewish people. What are you talking about?
you're
Dude.
such a man. Stop being a melodramatic
No,
clown.
I was wrong about
I'm just
the Whiskey
having
Rebellion.
fun, y'all.
No, I think that people are raising a decent point here, though.
Are you
I'm
on
also seeing in the chat. I'm also seeing in the chat that someone has also written that, I guess in the context of intentions, they did not intend for women or African Americans to have rights, etc.,
Wait,
etc. So, like when
wait,
we're looking at like what did the founders of the United States intend, I don't think it'd be right to sort of run a country on trying to discern the thoughts of people who lived in the 1700s.
Yeah, to a certain extent, okay, yeah, we know what they thought, and we should take that into context, but we shouldn't take it as gospel because they were
No,
not.
I can agree with
God.
that.
They were
I can
men,
agree with that.
and men are flawed human.
Well,
beings.
okay, so yeah,
I mean,
you
they
should-
were flawed, like especially with how they framed the Supreme Court. I think that's the biggest
Well,
problem. with the
when
Constitution.
I think when people to be fair, I think when people say we should like what they intended, they're not exactly saying we should do exactly what they thought we should do, but we should interpret the document how it was intended to be written, and they intended for the document to be amendable. So, like, yes, they didn't intend at that time for women or minorities to have rights, but they also put in a system for which they could gain them.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's just to a certain extent, I agree with a living document, but not entirely. Because, like, obviously, they
And I
wrote-
don't think that that's. Listen,
Uh,
some of the founding fathers were slave owners, right? Some
pretty
of
much,
them.
pretty much.
Most
A
of
good
them, maybe.
majority. A good
Big
majority
facts.
done.
Absolute big facts.
But
Yet the worst founding father was not a slave owner, which I find interesting.
But-
Slavery was really common back then. It's crazy. It's not
So,
anymore.
yeah.
why?
Oh, it's still going on in
we
Africa.
all-
Hey guys,
Well,
there's still a slave trade in
among
Africa. Is
the
everybody
real-
aware?
So
Yeah.
Is everybody aware?
just let him
that
demonstrate.
ties into another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is
Guys,
the
one at a
country
time,
was really
one at a
wasn't
time, one at a
really.
time.
So, Polocrat, why do you
Start with
hate
Volts.
Alexander? Why do you hate Alexander
Let him go.
Hamilton so
Hey,
much?
shut the fuck up. Let Celestial finish his sentence. Jesus
So,
Christ.
thank you, Mop. So the founding fathers, first of all, they were a bunch of affluent, like white men, right? They were essentially aristocracy themselves.
Yeah.
They didn't
Correct.
start this country for individual freedoms or liberties.
Yes, they
or
did.
some-
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they
That's a
did.
fucking myth.
Yes, they
That's a
did. What's your evidence?
100%
What's
that's
your
a myth.
evidence for your
That
opinion?
is a listen. It makes more sense
My evidence is the
makes more- it makes
Constitution, the way it was
much more
written.
sense
What's your evidence?
that they.
Hey, at
it
least subscribe to the. Don't sterilize the meta
It
narrative.
makes much more sense to say they started this country because they didn't want to. They said, look, we have a country here. We essentially are running this shit. We don't want to have to pay taxes to this dickhead over across the sea.
Dude, it was
And
more than just taxes. Have you
we-
read the Declaration of Independence?
We don't want to take his orders because this is ours. So what did
Because it
what
was?
did they do?
It was
They
theirs?
wrote some shit into a paper.
Imagine talking
bill
about the Declaration of
that-
Independence and not reading it, dude.
Theodore, please. Can I handle this one, please? Thank you. So the Declaration of Independence lists what?
A declaration of war.
And not all of them are about taxes. And the first one isn't even about taxes. It says, he has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assessment should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. Taxes isn't even till number 7, I think.
Yeah, but that's not his greater point. The greater point
Yeah, that's
is,
not my point.
I think from like my understanding, his point is that the reason we had the Revolutionary War was not for the benefit of the majority of individuals, but for the elite class in society. It was to the benefit of their individual liberty, for sure. But I mean, like, the reason why non-landowners couldn't vote originally, you know, why women and minorities were not included, is because they were not fighting for the rights of everyone. And I don't think you could honestly argue that. I mean, they were definitely arguing for more freedom than that was under the crown, but that's still not freedom for all.
Dude,
Well,
they tried their best. Seriously, come on.
That allowed
Exactly, Mom. And exactly. And the fucking fact of the matter is, if I were somebody that wanted to get the masses to like do what I wanted them to sacrifice their lives so that I could have a country to fucking run, I wouldn't say, hey, like, you know, it would be real nice if I could have this country to run. So can you just like sacrifice your lives for me? I would say, this asshole over here, he's telling us what to do, and we don't need him. What you need is to follow me, and I'll lead you to the I'll lead you to greater freedom. I'll lead you to the promised land, the land of milk and honey.
To be fair,
can I get involved in this?
Sure, but to be fair, the colonial government had a lot more after the crown. Had a lot more freedom for the individual than under the crown.
Exactly.
I mean, it
No,
wasn't.
you have to realize. Okay.
It wasn't solely for the benefit of the elites. There was a good bit of benefit.
Right, but
to
that
the
doesn't
people
think
in the
of it.
revolution.
Okay,
that's
guys,
not
guys,
necessarily
let me-
mutually
Celestial,
exclusive.
Let me explain. Okay, so you know how like in the compare. Okay, so I definitely, under most circumstances, would not compare the American Revolution to the French Revolution. But in this particular context, think of it like the French Revolution. You had different factions that were revolutionary factions. You had the ones that were slightly to the left, who were the liberals, who were for overthrowing the Ancien regime. And then you had the ones to the left of the liberals, who were like the proto-socialists, like Robespierre. And so they were also for the same thing. They were way more radical, and I don't want to say, and they were way more egalitarian than the center-left liberals at the time in the French, in like the Estates General. But they both wanted the same things, so they worked together. So think of the American Revolution in the same way. Yeah, you had like the radical ones who were for the people, like you had like Thomas Paine and Sam Adams.
Thomas Paine sucks.
Okay, I'm using him as an example. We can talk about that another time because I half agree with you, but then the other half of me loves him. But as I was saying, you did have the ones who were legitimately more egalitarian, who were more for the people, quote unquote. I hate that term, for the people, because it means nothing really. But you know what I mean.
Sorry guys, I have a hard break at the top of the hour, so I got to roll. But thank you so much for having me. Theodore, crowdfundinggovernment.com.
It's not the top of the hour yet.
I know I gotta roll out into it. So the final thing I'll say about Ginsburg is that occasionally she had some really based individual liberty sort of decisions, but overall the Supreme Court is trash, garbage, authoritarian, sucks. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, I like to say, fuck your liberty.
Thanks. Fuck yours too.
Where I'm at, babe.
See you later, Theodore. I think
See you, Theodore. It's nice to have you on. He always leaves early.
Goodbye, Teddy. So do I. I always leave early.
But then Alcazar, you always come back though, eventually.
And
yeah, the thing is, okay, that only happened that one time because I try to go to bed and I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't sleep.
Yeah, no, Volt is the one who leaves and always comes back.
I'm like the Marlboro man. I keep coming back.
I never leave.
Hey,
but
let Grayson say something. Grayson, you were starting to say something.
Oh yeah, I was go back to this Declaration of Independence. We were talking about whether the founding fathers were really intending to have people vote, and I think that one of the key issues to that shows that they weren't necessarily for the individual was the establishment of the Electoral College, which originally didn't even account for the popular vote. It wasn't until the 1820s that they start accounting the popular vote, like almost
With Andrew
like 30
Jackson.
years after.
With Andrew Jackson, who was probably, for the time, the most left-wing president they had.
Yeah, ironically.
Although hilariously, what's also interesting is if you go by the standards of that time, Calhoun was to the left of Andrew Jackson.
So originally, right, it was only the land-owning gentry that could vote, right? So that wasn't. They didn't.
That wasn't true
say
everywhere and at the same
everybody.
time. That wasn't true everywhere and at the same time.
That wasn't true everywhere at the same time.
No, states
Well-
gradually abolished the land requirements, and it stopped when it completely stopped in all states when Andrew Jackson got.
So wait, they
Andrew
gradually
Jackson
abolished
gets
it. So
too
they
much-
started out with it,
I think
right?
Andrew Jackson gets too
first
much
state
shit.
to abolish land requirements to vote.
So you think Andrew Jackson is underrated politicrat?
I really do. I think he gets too much shit.
I mean, any
I-
president
agree
that
with
beats
that.
someone to death or almost to death with a stick is a good president. In my opinion.
Yes.
No, that wasn't
exactly.
Jackson. No.
Was that not Jackson?
That was Clay.
That was-
That was Clay.
No, that was
No,
Jackson.
no.
That was
No,
Jackson.
that's
No,
Jack-
Andrew Jackson
No.
almost killed the man.
Yeah, that's true. Jackson did try to. He nearly did beat his would-be assassinator to death with his cane.
No, I wish. No, what if Congress? What if they still did that? That would be funny.
Oh
man,
yeah,
that-
if someone rolls up to you with a gun, you should definitely beat them to death under any circumstances. If they're trying
Yeah.
to shoot you, yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
No.
The
Imagine,
thing about the NXT,
imagine
if you
if
violate
it was like. No, imagine if like I'm trying to think if Eric Swalwell attacked Rand Paul and Rand Paul just beat him with his stick.
can we say that Andrew Jackson is a badass? Just like,
Yeah.
do we agree to
I-
that?
I don't want to say that because
He was
of-
basically a Bonapartist. And would you guys agree that he was basically a Bonapartist?
Well, wait. I mean, my history is probably worse than your guys, but didn't he like facilitate the Louisiana Purchase?
No, that was Jefferson.
That
Dude.
was
Yeah, that was
Jackson.
Jefferson. Yeah, the J names get me. I'm no history guy.
But he did.
There was Johnsons, Jacksons, Jeffersons.
But he
Too
did
many
seize-
J's, man.
But he did seize Florida from the Spanish.
That's
No, I thought he bought it from the Spanish.
No, he seized it.
No,
Like,
I thought he forced them to sell it at like a
I thought
low
it was
rate.
Monroe who got Florida.
No, Jackson was the general at the time, so
Yeah.
So yeah, he militarily seized Florida without any congressional approval. But John Quincy Adams, the Secretary of State at the time, did approve of his action because the Spanish were at the time declining and were not officially protecting their borders or suppressing piracy, and also not suppressing the Native American tribes. So
Chris is obviously Team Calhoun
Yeah.
here in this situation.
So basically, Andrew Jackson basically seized Florida secure as a part of a larger strategy to secure the Southern American border, and also gradually expand the nation. So yeah.
Oh, also, I want to say, what's your name? What's your name? LSB.
Celestial.
Celestial. You realize there were several founding fathers who opposed slavery and only relented to get the southern states in charge to get on board.
Oh, I
And
absolutely
you think
do.
that eventually? You
I
realize,
do.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not like the majority of those.
Well, I think again the
people,
point was not that not all like that. The point was not that slavery wasn't abolished when the country was founded. It's that the country was founded on a revolution of the elite and not a revolution of the masses.
No, it wasn't. Okay, it wasn't even really a revolution. It was a revolt.
It was
I think we should make a distinction.
Yeah,
especially
well, it
because,
was a revolt of the elite.
No, it was like a
against other
secession. No,
elite.
it was a secession movement. A revolution is internal, whereas like a secession movement is more external. Like for instance, the American Revolution was more akin to the Civil War than it was to the French Revolution or the Russian Revolution or the overthrow of the Roman monarchy. In terms of like how it ended up playing out. So
As Sargon of Akkad once called it, the English Civil War, and it's one of the few things I still agree with him on, even though I despise him now.
Why do everybody despise the great Sargon of
Because he's
Akkad?
cringe. Because he's cringe.
Oh,
I am a
he's
liberalist.
Terrible.
God, I am a liberalist. I am not a
I
socialist.
don't like any white nationalist.
Even though
Oh, wait.
Okay, guys, I really want to have him on sometime.
protectionist,
I'd love to have that guy on,
Oh yes.
capitalist,
unironically.
except
Sargon of Akkad. If Sargon of Akkad comes on this show, I will eat a bowl of Captain Crunch with no milk.
No, dude, literally, because I
Dude, don't kill yourself.
because it's also a capitalist. But then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm for protectionist."
Yeah, that's cringe. No, like he should.
Yeah.
He's not a classical liberal. Like he should. He dropped the classical part. Now he just says he's a centrist liberal. Okay, policy wise, he actually is left of center in the American context, but like he talks like a right. His talking points are rather right wing.
Well,
So,
the real liberals vote for Trump. Am I right?
so Miss
Oh my
Mur-
God.
so Miss Murasami, what's
Oh.
your take on Jackson and the Constitution of this?
Yeah, you haven't waited
I
on
was-
this. Neither is
I mean, I
Bob.
was trying to avoid talking about Andrew Jackson, but I mean, obviously, I despise him as a politician in general, and it's chiefly because of the activities he conducted against the native peoples of the land that his state was occupying. I mean, he was
Okay,
the one that
yes.
cleared out the southeast of the United States, essentially. I mean, he had no right to displace those people.
No, he didn't.
I mean,
He
okay,
did.
but we also have to remember
Agree.
that was actually Van Buren who ended up presiding over the Trail of
Yeah.
Tears.
Oh, right. He has a great quote about that. Andrew Jackson, about there was the Supreme Court justice. I believe it was Marshall declared it was unconstitutional, and Jackson just responded, Justice Marshall has made a decision. Now let him enforce it.
I do have criticisms of Jackson. I do think he expanded the government a little too much. However, so like I guess I lean more towards Calhoun in a lot of ways. Calhoun was basically a reverse broken clock. He was right most of the time, but when he was wrong, and that was slavery.
Wasn't he a proto-libertarian?
Yeah, Calhoun's only really bad. The only really bad thing about Calhoun was his stance on slavery. Other than that, he basically invented the modern concept of minority rights. Like he was like hardcore against the Trail of Tears. also.
So John C. Calhoun, and who was the other guy during the Jackson period that Jackson wanted to hang?
Was it oh god, what's his name?
Henry
Was
Clay.
Clay. Yeah, Clay was the Kentucky. He was the moderate. And then who was the guy? Who's the other guy from? He was from like Maine.
Van Buren?
No. There's the other guy who was like
Oh, no.
they were like the 3 or something. Hold on.
Just
Daniel Webster.
Oh,
Oh, the guy who wrote the dictionary.
so there's also John Quincy Adams, who was an abolitionist and considered to be one of the greatest secretaries of state. So
Yeah, I say he was probably, honestly, the only good secretaries of state we've ever had. You guys might disagree with me, but James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Madeleine Albright, and Henry Kissinger.
Whoa,
What
what
about-
about William Sword, dude? That Alaska purchase was pretty.
wait,
good.
what about George Shultz?
George Soros? What? No,
No,
I'm kidding.
George Shultz from the Reagan administration.
I mean, he was good for the time, but like in a wider context, maybe not that great. I don't know.
Henry Kissinger.
Kissinger
Wait.
was pretty good.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Except for the shit about the he didn't want to intervene in the Bangladeshi genocide, which was really cringe. But whatever.
Oh wait. Wait, you mean the Pakistani?
Hey, Manger, want to join in?
Was that in Pakistan?
Yes, it was when Bangladesh was fighting the independence war and Pakistan was just massacring Bangladeshis, and they didn't stop until India intervened.
Oh right, it was that. Oh right, he didn't
And
want to
Henry
intervene.
Kissinger didn't want to do shit about it, which is that's the only reason why like I really hate him, because that was such a dumb move.
Wait, it wasn't done because under the context, he didn't want to alienate China.
What do you mean didn't want to alienate China? I mean, China didn't even want to intervene in that.
No, like Pakistan.
To be clear, they literally asked China to go to the border in order to intimidate India and possibly enter into some kind of conflagration with them. And China wouldn't even intervene to actually defend Pakistan's territory. And of course, the reason they chose not to do so is because they could see for themselves just how badly Pakistan was behaving.
Just at the time, though, Nixon and Kissinger thought we didn't want to intervene in Pakistan. That might alienate China, since Pakistan was the intermediary between.
Sure, no, I understand the sentiment of not wanting to intervene, but at the same time, they were providing like actual satellite data, or I should say locational data, because I don't know how they came to have it, but locational data to the Pakistani army. Not only were they doing that, but they were de facto on the side of Pakistan during that time period, because they were receiving the reports, seeing Pakistani human rights violations, but they were totally okay with just letting Yahya do whatever he wanted to do. So it wasn't just a matter of they didn't want to intervene. It was a matter of they were actively okay with what was transpiring, even though it was blatantly violations of international law that were happening.
Well, it was Cold War politics at the time. It was kind of common to overlook.
All right, guys, everybody. So we have another guy who just joined, Carl Menger. Why don't you introduce yourself? We're going to get back onto the topic of Ginsburg here in a second, because I think we're going off topic a little too much. But Menger, so introduce yourself and tell us, what do you think of this recent development, and what was your opinion on Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Well, okay, sure. Hi, I'm Carl. I'm on Twitter. All that stuff. I just joined because someone said Madeleine Albright was a good Secretary of State, and I am very confused about that. We can get into that.
Can you quickly get to the point why you don't think Madeleine Albright, in Politicrat's opinion, was a good Secretary of State? Can you get that out of the way? Why do you think she's bad?
Because she oversaw all of the interventions in the Balkans and oversaw the whole horrible treatment of the post-Soviet states and set up the United States foreign policy to destroy the Middle East once 9/11 happened. She, in fact, set the groundwork for 9/11.
Wait, why you're against the intervention in the Balkans?
Yeah, I want to ask that question as well, because I mean, the Balkans might be the only thing they got right.
Oh, okay. So you think the Balkans was right? All right. I
think it was Europe's problem. Europe should have handled it.
Also, keep in mind they were trying to prevent a genocide.
Yeah, I mean they literally had ethnic Albanian people, behind wire fences. They were doing the thing. Like it wasn't just rumors that these things were occurring. They really were actually killing these people.
No, yes, absolutely, that is true. But how is it the United States' role to stop that?
Okay,
the United States is part of ours. Because I mean, the United States was part of NATO. First off, the United States had
what right does NATO have?
The United States, hold on, Vaughn. The United States had assumed for itself after the Second World War that they were linked to the destiny of what was happening in Europe. So they were definitely a part of that situation, despite being separated by the Atlantic Ocean. And then there was additionally the geostrategic fact that Slobodan Milosevic was attempting to enter into a union state, quote unquote, arrangement with Russia, which obviously the United States didn't want. So you had the overlapping issues of Milosevic being on the wrong side of the geopolitical line and simultaneously engaging in a genocide inside of Europe. So the United States was almost inevitably going to get involved in that situation.
Also, what I'm saying is not that their position in the entire geological framework was wrong, given what they had committed themselves to. What I'm saying is that entire framework, the framework itself, is wrong. The U.S. has no right to have all of that action within NATO and have any intervention.
Keep in mind the Europeans at first tried to handle it. The EU at the time did try to handle it independently, but they proved themselves to be rather. They sort of had like a rather inept response to it. They were incompetent. Yeah. That's why they called in NATO, called the United States. That's why there was a massive bombing campaign that lasted about 90 days under the Clinton administration.
And I would add that regarding state-to-state activity, just to supplement Volt's point here, I mean, as far as I understand it, German intelligence also requested that the United States should take a look at what was going on there, because, I mean, they were on the ground looking at it. So, I mean, from that perspective, you could almost say the Europeans invited the United States to do what it did there.
Okay, guys, on that note, we are going to take a quick intermission, real quick, and when we get back, we're strictly going to talk about Ginsburg and the Supreme Court because I feel like we've gotten a little bit off topic. So, on that note, it is about time for our hold on. It's about time for our intermission. Hold on a second. Okay, that was our intermission, guys. Welcome back. Let me unmute all you guys. How was the intermission? How'd you guys enjoy your few seconds of intermission?
I have a question. I have a question for the room.
Yes.
What?
Do you guys support the creation of a branch of government that will judge the
Nope.
legality of liquid of liquid measures and volume?
No.
We,
No.
we already have.
You
that.
don't you
It's
don't
in
support the Supreme Court?
Oh.
Listen, I saw that. I saw that coming.
I don't get what.
The Supreme Court. With a
Oh,
Q?
oh.
I don't get it.
With a quart.
I
That-
get
that's pretty good, man.
I like it.
I applaud the dadness.
Okay, so anyway, so what was everybody individually? Let's go around. What was everybody's opinion on Ginsburg? Just high points, low points of her career. If you are like, depending on how much you know about her specifically. But Ray, let's start with you.
Okay, I love it when it starts with me. So I'm just going to say, obviously, the things that ought to be said. So, I mean, obviously, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was, for the Americans, a national icon, and she's left behind, obviously, an incredible legacy of standing up for and fighting for women's equality. And I think their country was fortunate to have her sitting in the Supreme Court. And what do they say? I think they say, may her memory be a blessing or something like that is what people have been saying. So I think that's the appropriate thing you're supposed to say. So I'm going to go with that also. At the same time, obviously, you have to take into account that with the good comes the bad. So, for example, I think that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's positions on Native American sovereignty were actually not that great. So, for example, Ginsburg blocks the reassertion of sovereignty in land that was defrauded from the Oneida Nation in 2005 because she believed that it would subvert settler colonial governance. And this obviously sounds like I'm editorializing it here, so I'm going to use her quotation exactly. Apparently, the quotation is that if the Oneida Nation were to purchase land that had been stolen from them, she said, quote, it would initiate a new generation of litigation to free lands from, quote, regulatory controls that protect landowners. So she was not entirely perfect. This is one of those things where she is still part of a system that has systematically taken from the Native American people their lands and so on. And so she has not ruled outside of the...
Abolish reservations.
I mean, I don't know what the solution. I don't know what the solution to the issue of the mistreatment should be, but it's one of those things where I don't think that she was particularly strong on that issue. So if there's a criticism that could be brought against her, it would be that. However, at the same time, I have no confidence that anyone from the Republican Party or in this process will attempt to nominate anyone to replace her that would be better on that issue than she herself was. So I mean, I've seen.
Not Gorsuch. What's his name? Scalia was actually that was something Scalia was actually way better on her, or way better on than she was.
Well, I mean, I can't say for sure that I know whether you know how that might be looked at. But I mean, going forward, like Trump's Republicans.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The Trump Republicans
going to think of selecting people who are better on civil liberties than RBG was. So. Again, I think it resolves down to the usual case of support Joe Biden's Democrats and hope that they replace her with someone who is at least equal to what she was or better, hopefully better.
You still want the Democrats to go to jumbo mode?
Yes.
Yeah, we were having a conversation. Yeah, I'm going to address that. So we were having a conversation earlier on, myself involved, about how Democrats should approach the issue if they get into office after November. And, given that the last 4 years have been just 4 years of absolute impunity and madness, I think that it would be appropriate at this point, since all standards and all norms have been raised, that Democrats should utilize that environment to actually forcefully correct a lot of the bad behavior that has been going on for the past 4 years. And so me and Volt were having this joke about how there needs to be a Lyndon B. Johnson mode that needs to activate now in the Democratic Party, and everyone needs to become acquainted with, quote, Mr. Jumbo. And so I'm sure that some of you who understand that joke, you'll get that joke.
Ray, you're going to make me come. I swear to God, don't.
Okay, all right. On that note, Fog, would you like to weigh in on the issue? What was your opinion of Ginsburg? Do you think that she was good, bad? What do you think the highlights of her career were? The downsides? Just give your opinion on this.
So most of my thoughts are on how it affects the current situation in politics. As a rule, my pragmatic politics are pro-stability, and I'm not much of a fan of having to.
Like from what I remember, you were a pragmatic Bloomberg supporter, weren't you?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much of that was memeing versus reality, but right. I obviously would like somebody far to the right of anybody on the court right now to replace her, in an ideal world. But in a pragmatic world, I wish Mitch wouldn't have released today his desire to push it through before the election. That's just going to cause a lot more stress and dysfunction in the country than needs to happen right now. So I'm a little disappointed in that, but it is what it is.
Okay. Grayson?
I thought that RGB was a perfectly fine legal scholar in her field. And for a liberal judge, she was certainly way more moderate than the other liberals that came after her. And again, I do think she was pragmatic on certainly a lot of issues. I saw an interview with I don't know who it was, but she actually made some criticisms of Roe v. Wade on how it was handled. And that pragmatism is kind of one thing I did like about her. And so I think if they are going to replace her, they better get someone who's very pragmatic versus ideological.
Yeah. That's the one thing. Okay, so I'm not a conservative. I've never identified as a conservative. I guess on economic issues, I'm most certainly on the right. But
am I the most conservative guy here? Then
I think Fog. I'd say probably Fog or Menger.
I'm pretty conservative myself, but
I'm pretty conservative.
Not as much as you, Volt.
Didn't quite catch the question there. Sorry.
But yeah.
No, but anyway, as I was saying, but personally, I prefer it when the court tends to lean a little more conservative because on average, they tend to be more constitutionalist and less judicial activists. And judicial activism, I think, is rather dangerous. We do definitely see a lot of conservative judicial activists, but it's a lot less prevalent than you have it's a lot less prevalent to see judicial activism on the right than you do on the left.
Yeah, my take on Ginsburg, I'm a center-right guy. I disagree with her on some of her decisions, but generally I did like what she did to expand civil liberties, especially over L.V. Hodges.
Yeah, I can agree with that. What about you, Volt? We kind of skipped over you and went to Alcazar.
I have no opinion on her.
Okay. Okay, Celestial. You're probably our most left-wing. Yeah, Celestial's probably our most left-leaning guest. What would you have to say about Ginsburg?
So my takeaway from this is my opinions on Ruth Bader Ginsburg is that ultimately she was a good justice because she was the linchpin that basically held the right back from being able to go hog wild with some of the crazier shit that they want to do.
Her and
Like,
Kennedy especially. Yeah.
Yeah, like take away women's rights to bodily autonomy in the form of taking away their ability to get abortions and other things. She was one of the key justices on the gay marriage, like legalization.
Was that 2015 or 2013? I forget.
I don't remember. I think it was 2015.
Feels like
Maybe.
2013. That's the
It
vibe
feels
I
like
get.
2015 seems a little too late, but at the same time, it might. I don't know. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Anyways, yeah, and she was ultimately, I think that I probably would have some disagreements with her because I don't think she went far enough to the left. But I mean, like, there's very few people in our government that do for me. So, I mean, like, while I may have had disagreements with her, I feel like she was pretty good. She was decent, yeah.
Okay, Chris has confirmed it was 2015, and I will take Chris for his word here. I'm too lazy to look it up, but I don't think he has. I don't think he has a reason to be dishonest.
You lazy bastard.
Sorry, I trust Chris in this instance.
Oh, I'm thinking of. I live in California. I was thinking like 2012, 2013 when it happened here.
Oh yeah, on the state level, yeah. Okay, yeah, no, in Virginia, I think it was 2013. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm in Virginia, so anyway, Mop, it's up to your turn now.
I have no hard opinions, honestly. Like, I mean, this isn't my biggest topic. She seemed fine, and I kind of like the idea of a more balanced court, like not like stacked one way or the other. I think that's healthy for democracy if we need a Supreme Court.
And last but not least, Carl.
Overall, I don't really hate her. I'm no fan of the Supreme Court. I agree with Rothbard's assertion that you can't have that something within the government checking the rest of the government. But as a justice, okay, I don't actually hate her that much. She was pretty good on a lot of civil rights stuff. She did a lot of good work, and like Fourth Amendment stuff particularly, like privacy. 100% she was really good on. Like Carpenter versus United States, Riley versus California, U.S. versus Jones, like a whole bunch of cases where she really held up the Fourth Amendment and held up the right to privacy, and I really respect her for that, because the government doesn't really have any respect for privacy at all, and that's an issue that I care a lot about. So any person in that level of government, I'm going to have a natural, like, some level of hatred for, but she's not the worst. Like when John McCain died, I was partying. Now when she's died, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, but I do agree. I think she was definitely, as far as Supreme Court justices go, I think she was definitely one of the better ones. I think she was better than Thomas. I think she's better than Roberts. I think Roberts doesn't really even seem to have any opinions. He just kind of like, I don't even know about Roberts.
Which is fair. As the Chief Justice, you should be somewhat like in the middle.
Yeah, fair enough. And honestly, and then did you notice also that all of the Ginsburg stands ended up they just completely stopped talking about Kavanaugh after Ginsburg came out and was like, Kavanaugh is a good man, shut the hell up. No, because she vowed, like a month into his justice thing, she came out in defense of Kavanaugh and basically like you guys all remember the Inquisition, right?
Yep.
Couldn't forget if I wanted to.
Yeah, and then I also there was one thing that really pissed me off about that, I remember, and I could be confusing it with something else, but I think this was something Kamala Harris said. Kamala
Well, you mean the
Harris.
Kavanaugh Inquisition? I thought you meant the real Inquisition.
No, but
Wasn't expecting that.
No, but nobody expects the progressive Inquisition. But anyway, what I was saying was, what kind of bothered me was, I do think this was Kavanaugh, but she basically made this thing up about him, like saying, "Oh, he's in the Knights of Columbus," and that means he's part of like some secret far religious right conspiracy to take over the government. I thought that was kind of dumb.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't remember that, but yeah, I mean, talking about KOC, I don't think KOC is part of some conspiracy. So obviously,
No, it's. I mean, that's basically what you hear. I don't know. It reminds me of like the Freemason stuff on the History Channel.
Dude, the Knights of
yeah, I mean,
Columbus.
obviously, if Kamala Harris said that, I mean, she should not have said that.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on Justice Gorsuch? That's his name.
I like Gorsuch. I like Gorsuch a lot. He's my favorite justice now.
Really? No love for
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas?
Clarence Thomas sucks.
Why do you think he sucked? Why you disagree with him? He's like the most libertarian
No,
conservative.
he's not. No, he's not.
He's pretty libertarian in his political
How
and
so?
judicial.
How?
Point to a case.
Uh,
Well, I have a good one.
Yeah, there isn't one.
Hold on, guys. Come on, I'll give you a few more seconds.
God, are you stoned again?
He
Come on.
He,
Come on, buddy.
I know he cited something with
Be honest. Do you just like him because he's black?
no,
Yeah, and
no, it's more like he's friends with Thomas Sowell. I sort of assume he must have been a good guy.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, that should also be like an indicator that something bad is going to happen. Friends with Thomas Sowell.
Yeah,
that's not a good look.
Thomas Sowell is pretty base though.
You know who else is friends with Thomas Sowell?
everybody, we're
Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin is friends with Thomas Sowell. What does that tell you?
Dave Rubin. No, I was originally going to do an episode of the Political Pigpen tonight, and it was going to be all about right-wing grifters.
So what's wrong
Dave
with
Rubin, you are smearing him. He's an
Oh,
honest-
Ray, what's your problem with
Very
Thomas Sowell
intelligent.
anyway?
He's just so. Okay, I used to
apropos
like.
nothing, Tim Pool.
Oh my god.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
Tim Pool is another grifter.
No, it's so sad though because I used to really liked him, but now I mean it's making me sad to see what he's doing.
No, I
His
mean, you
brother's
should,
pretty
you
cool,
should
though.
expect that was where he was going to end up. I mean, 70% of the sources that Tim Pool uses are dailymail.co.uk. Well, it's
No.
not really-
Okay, what really gets me is like he started using Breitbart unironically.
Yeah, and Breitbart. So, I mean, Breitbart isn't like number 6 out of the sources that he uses. But like all of the sources that Tim Pool uses are basically cringe sources throughout.
No,
so it's
like,
almost like he's
Breitbart is
self-indoctrinated into
like-
becoming cringe.
Breitbart, like 15 years ago, was a relatively respectable publication in the same way like National Review, but then Bannon took over and turned it into like alt-right adjacent propaganda.
Yeah, it became Lunaticville, basically.
But seriously, like, there's nothing wrong with Clarence Thomas being the most conservative Supreme Court.
What do you like
justice.
about him, other than he's conservative?
Exactly.
He's friends with Thomas Sowell.
Other than that,
Like, does he have any? Like, do you have any? Because I would never make a claim that I like any Supreme Court justice because I don't know about any of their decisions because I'm an ignorant retard. But what decision in particular makes you like him so much, or do you just like him because he's conservative? and
Because he's
friends with a
black.
conservative?
No, he's because he's a black conservative. It confirms your bias. It confirms your biases.
Just need one.
He's just
need one more.
But he's like is he like Candace Owens if she were a Supreme Court justice?
He's Clarence Thomas is a conservative grifter.
No. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
So where I work, at the location I work, we work very, very closely with publishing and books and stuff. Candace Owens just came out with a new book on Tuesday, and we have a bunch of them, and it's called Blackout: Why Black People Need to Leave the Democratic plantation again. It's like it's so stupid.
Perpetually and forever leaving the plantation. And the thing is, I am stunned. Well, no, I'm not really stunned, but let's just say that for effect. I am stunned that that Candace Owens is telling African Americans to leave the Democrat plantation, quote unquote, in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, in which there is a Republican president who is failing to manage it, and they are all losing their jobs.
I think here's one thing. Here's a judicial opinion I like about Clarence Thomas. He's good on privacy.
Okay.
What?
Did you have to Google that? Be honest. Did you just Google that?
I am just reading his Wikipedia page.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on. We're probably going to try to go for another half hour here.
Dude,
let's talk about what do you think is going to happen next? Because I really don't like where this is going. Because the thing is, this is going to be whatever's going to happen. This is going to be Kavanaugh times 10. Okay, so I think
Eric Holder, probably a better example, right?
I just think whoever the Republicans are going to try to nominate, whoever Trump is going to try to nominate, especially if he does it before the election. Like the thing is, I think for the sake of optics, what Trump should do, he should wait till after the election or after inauguration or something.
Yeah, but he's a moron, so you know he's not going to wait, right?
He's not. No, but at least Obama had the courtesy to do that. Like, I'm not an Obama fan, but I think Obama was definitely a lot more courteous than Trump.
Yeah.
But
he's going to pick someone. That person is going to be examined forensically. Everything bad, quote unquote, or partially bad that this person has ever done will be brought out and raked over the coals, and the entire election is going to be about judges.
Yeah, sorry, I said
it's going to be no matter who it is, even if he picks I can't see it happening. Like, no matter who he picks, even if he picks like an independent or somebody who's like really good on civil liberties, like Andrew Napolitano.
I know
or something.
exactly what he.
Sir, I said Eric Holder.
Even if he picks Napolitano, they're going to find something to go after him for, even though he's a libertarian and he's not a conservative.
So I meant to say Merrick Garland.
Dude,
what
if he just picked like Merrick Garland as like a psyop? See what the fuck they do.
No, like
that would be hilarious.
That's what.
Wait, who's Merrick?
Okay,
I'm stupid. I'm stupid. Who's Merrick Garland?
Merrick Garland was the guy
Garland was
Obama
the-
appointed after Scalia died, and the Republicans refused to nominate him.
Yeah, so that's what's going to happen. Like, they're going to have a situation similar to that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the guy Obama tried to appoint.
Yeah, they're just going to stall out until the election.
That would be the greatest troll ever, and you know that the Democrats would oppose that.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
100%.
I'm not saying.
They absolutely would.
I'm not saying they're going to nominate him. I'm just saying we're going to have a similar situation where they're going to stall until Biden wins.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
well,
but
that's
imagine-
absolutely a necessity. Like, it's almost like, I mean, I don't know whether everyone else on the panel is going to agree with me, but it's one of those things where sometimes politics is about clout and psychology. So if Democrats aren't willing to ruthlessly stall until November on this, then like, I don't know how to describe them in terms of like, are they human beings at this point, or are they like jelly creatures or something? Like, you have to stall. The only way to get respect at this point would be to stall, just as they did with Merrick Garland previously when the Republicans did that back to them the first time.
Yeah,
Like,
but
they-
the big
yeah.
question here is how much they can stall. The reason the Republicans could stall so effectively with Merrick Garland is because they had a Senate majority then, and they have the Senate majority now. How much can the
Well, I
Democrats
saw
stall?
someone making a joke that if impeachment proceedings were brought a second time, it would make it impossible for the Senate to actually go forward. So there could be that. You could do all kinds of like genuinely dirty skullduggery procedural abuses that could be done in order to prevent them from being able to confirm or do anything.
Sure, I guess so.
It just has to be like, is Nancy Pelosi willing to do actually dirty things procedurally to make sure this is impossible for the next 90 days?
Could she actually do anything? I think it's the Senate that does
Yeah,
it.
it's all the Senate. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have any power over it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, Nancy Pelosi would have to be doing something from inside the House. It's a matter of like, what can she do from her position inside the House in terms of like messing with procedure that would have effects on the Senate that would make it impossible for them to proceed as normal? That's the question. I think Democrats should be thinking about that now, which is why the joke came out that one of those things that she could hypothetically do would be to call for another impeachment all over again.
So,
which would definitely occupy the system, wouldn't it?
So here's my question: what's your guys' take of having a super conservative Supreme Court justice as a consequence of Ginsburg dying today?
What do you define as super conservative? Because everyone was saying that Kavanaugh was super conservative.
Okay,
but he's been super moderate on the court. Like,
let's say
he voted against repealing Roe v. Wade when it was up.
Let's say conservative leaning, because the thing about court justices that here in the U.S. they tend to more leans towards precedents, that they're not going to overturn something. It has to take a lot of, let's say, like a lot of public opinion and cloud what's going on the outside to get something overturned. But I'm asking is what's your guys' opinion? Have the guys' opinions on the prospect having a somewhat conservative court?
I mean, it depends on who
I think that
I do not want Ted Cruz, and I'm glad he said no.
I want Ted Cruz. I don't want anybody who's like anti-LGBT on there.
No, the thing is, I also don't want okay, I honestly, I'm trying to decide who would be worse, Cruz or Cotton.
Probably Cotton.
I mean, the thing is, Cruz is
think
worse
that
on social issues, but Cotton is worse on like foreign policy. But then again, if Cotton is in the Supreme Court, he won't really be able to affect foreign policy all that much. But then again, the Fourth Amendment and the Fifth Amendment, you'd have a profound effect on, which could be dangerous because neocons are terrible on that issue.
I mean, they're very similar to me, but I think I'd probably prefer Cruz a little bit.
No, it's Cruz. Those social views are terrible.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I am not
even Ron Paul in 2016 said that Bernie Sanders would be preferable to Cruz.
No, nobody likes Cruz in the Senate. Nobody fucking likes him.
No. Lindsey Graham had the funniest fucking quote one time. He said, "Hold on, don't anybody say it. I'm going to pull it up."
Man, conservative. Imagine having a conservative majority Supreme Court. We have not had a conservative Supreme Court in 85 years. At least according to John Yoo.
Here's the thing. I don't think Trump's going to nominate someone like super conservative. I think it's going to be pretty balanced. Like
the Democrats is going to be
Gorsuch was fairly conservative, but Kavanaugh was more like a modern neo-lib. And I think he's going to continue along that same sort of moderate line. If he wanted to have like a crazy like Bannon Knight sort of character, he could have put him up in his previous two opportunities.
Guys, okay, we're going to listen to this now. Just listen.
We come a long way in 72 years ago. A woman could not be part of the American.
I can't hear it.
Coming back in 2017.
You can't hear it?
I mean, I can, but I can't discern what he's saying.
The audio's there, but it's like super echoey and stuff.
I'll put hold on.
Are you sharing the audio on the tab thing?
Yeah. I'll do captions.
Dude, just find a transcript of it.
Okay. No, hold on.
A conservative Supreme Court.
So much.
I gotta dip out for a minute. But
anyway, no, Lindsey Graham. I'll just say it. He said, okay. He said,
wow.
All right.
Okay.
You think Ted? Okay. Here's the most important philosophical question.
All right. What he said.
Ask.
This year, we are all students. At
What's
Verizon,
that?
we're enabling education however possible,
Shut up,
preparing teachers and
We should-
parents, and providing tech solutions to schools nationwide. It's Citizen Verizon in action.
You guys hear it?
Our plan for economic.
Are we sponsored by Verizon? That's pretty
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
You've come a long way in 72 years. 72 years ago, a woman could not be part of the American experience. If you don't vote, that's coming back in 2017. If I were you, I would vote. But look how far you've come. The most dishonest person in America is a woman.
Hillary Clinton, I'm
Who's
guessing.
about to be president. How could that be? My party has gone bat crazy. I would defend Ted Cruz after tonight. That ain't happening. If you killed Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate, and the trial was in the Senate, nobody can convict you.
I can't tell. I couldn't tell what he was saying at all.
No, he said.
These
No, he
people
said.
are
If,
so
he
weird.
said if somebody takes a gun and kills Ted Cruz in the middle of the Senate, and the trial was in the Senate, nobody would convict them.
What is even supposed to be the humor there?
It's funny because no, it's true
The humor
though.
is that everyone hates Ted Cruz, and so that's just how it is.
Yeah, but
Like no, that was
Managed to
funny.
go through his whole
I
career making
remember.
no friends at all.
So what's actually really funny? So every Christmas Eve, Rand Paul on his Twitter does a redressive a redress of grievances, like in
Yeah.
Seinfeld. It's actually pretty hilarious, and he did one where he was like talking about Ted Cruz looks better in his beard and he no longer looks like Grandpa Munster. Like because look, hold on a second.
So why are you a Verizon shield?
Because the computer wants me to be.
You're not funded by Soros. You're funded by Verizon. It's been
I'm funded by the Koch brothers
Verizon.
too. I feel like I wonder if the Koch brothers were watching this, if they'd agree to fund me. That would be pretty. That would be based.
Wow. What? What the fuck?
I can't see that now.
Unfortunate but true.
It's so true.
I mean, I'll start chilling. Fuck it. I'll take my Koch brothers neocon, money. Fuck it. Give me.
Yeah, are they new? I thought they were libertarians. I don't think they were neocons.
Woo! I don't know.
Depends on your definitions, as always.
Well, they're like Cato-tarians.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me that Middle East oil mommy milkers, please.
Tulsi Gabbard, mommy milkers.
Nah.
I want the mommy milkers.
Yeah, I like Grandpa Munster better too on life.
Ah, man, what an interesting.
Okay,
string.
but the thing is, okay, so what if they put like what is it, Amy Barrett? Is that her name?
Yeah, I've heard that this
Yeah.
is someone they might be considering. I know nothing about her, however.
Neither do I.
I've only heard that she's like some kind of like, and this is a description which came from someone randomly, so I have not verified the claim. Someone described her to me as being, quote, a completely crazy Catholic, possibly a fundamentalist.
But,
Yay!
but-
Wait.
But,
it's
no,
just-
but
wait,
Catholics
it's-
and fundamentalists are two completely separate. Fundamentalists are like crazy fucking Calvinists who are like who believe in like a bunch of unbiblical shit and
Yeah, I
pull
mean, I'm
shit
not-
out of
I'm
their
not-
ass. Whereas
I'm
Catholics
not
at
sure
least have
Yeah,
Catholics at
fundamentalists
least have principles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the person meant by fundamentalist in that context.
There's no such thing as, I mean, I guess you can be a fundamentalist Catholic in the sense that you believe in the fundamentals of Catholicism. But when you say religious fundamentalist, that implies that you're like basically like a super Protestant, like just a Protestant who only follows the Bible and has sterilized every single aspect of the religion except the Bible.
Well, I mean,
and then
I mean,
even
I
that, it's dumbed down theology.
I mean,
Like,
from the
fundamentalism is dumbed down theology.
from the tone, I understood it to mean that maybe this person is extremely, what's the word for it, activist in taking their religion into their political decisions. But again, this was a passing comment, so I actually don't know whether any of that is even true.
Yeah,
That's
we don't
totally
need to dissect
Also,
the she's like,
the Republicans should cut the evangelicals out of the party. They have been terrible.
Blame Reagan.
No, I kind of like Reagan.
No, blame Reagan for
no, yeah, it's Reagan's fault. Yeah.
It is kind of Reagan's fault, but the thing is, I don't think he was trying to do it to build a coalition, and it was like a Faustian bargain, because Reagan himself wasn't a religious nut. He was not even a social conservative. He was socially pretty liberal, like most Republicans back then. Like, for instance, Barry Goldwater believed he was pro-choice, legalizing marijuana, pro-legalizing gay marriage, and then the religious right took over in the '94 revolution. We had people like Newt Gingrich who came in. No, Goldwater, one of his greatest quotes was, he said, "I wish somebody ought to kick Jerry Falwell in the ass." That was like one of his greatest quotes. Yeah. And then he also said, "I swear after I'm dead, my entire party is going to shit."
Prophetic.
Yeah, he was I've been reading. Does everyone know George Will? He works for the Washington Post. He's a conservative. I've been reading his most recent book. It's like on the history of conservatism, and he basically like juxtaposes James. Like the entire book is he's juxtaposing James Madison with Woodrow Wilson, and just how Wilson was essentially took America away from its principles in the first place. Very erudite. Like it reminds me of like but like it definitely has a political bias, but it's like very respectful and it's very intellectual, and it reminds me of something that was like written like 50 years ago. I'm kind of getting off topic, but it is actually a book I'd recommend. So
I would also want to add that even in like the year 2000, there was a very uneasy relationship between evangelical Christianity and the Republican Party, as told through something that became a sort of confirmed anecdote, where Karl Rove was apparently having a conversation that involved George W. Bush and like some other White House officials, and I think some journalists had asked him a question like, where are the evangelicals going to meet to discuss policy with them or policy ideas with them at I think it was some upcoming date. I think it was like a week or 2 weeks away it was supposed to be, and they were being asked this question as to where they were going to have these people or what room they were supposed to be in. And apparently Karl Rove gestured toward a broom closet and said that, I'd prefer if they were to stay there.
That's amazing.
Right? So even at that point, there was this uneasy relationship. It's only since the arrival of Trump, really, that I think they've just done this full embrace of the lunacy.
Really? I mean, I've seen a decline kind of in like the hardcore religious right in a lot of ways, and especially the boomers, their children are coming of age now and they're still very religious, but I've noticed they're more open to things like gay marriage, for instance. Like, okay, so I hate Charlie Kirk, obviously, but take Charlie Kirk for example. He's definitely more liberal on social issues, and I find that a little less annoying than, say, like, I'm trying to think of an example. Who's the most like definitely a change from Santorum, for example.
Yes, very good point. Very good point. A lot of ground. I mean, in terms of like the overall position of American culture, a lot of ground has been covered since the days of Rick Santorum.
Well,
one thing I can respect about Santorum is at least the one thing I can respect about Santorum is at least he could take a joke. Like, he would go on Bill Maher all the time, and he just wouldn't care, and he'd even like laugh when Bill Maher was making fun of religion. So. I think he was a good sport, but his views were terrible.
That was what struck him apart from Mike Huckabee as well.
Mike Huckabee's the worst. Okay, I'm going to say Mike Huckabee is the one I should have said. Is at least Santorum has a couple of redeeming qualities, but Mark Huckabee
was repulsive.
Yes, he's disgusting. Yeah.
All right. Can I fuck Josh Hawley? Just fuck Josh Hawley. I swear to God, I hate him. I hate him so much.
If you hate him, then why do you want to fuck him? Is he hot? Is he cute?
Hey,
is he all caked up? Does he have a whole lot of ass on him?
Mike.
No, dude. Josh Hawley would make a great fanboy. Is all I'm saying.
Who's Hawley? Jack Hawley again?
Let me take a look at this big fat ass. Let me see.
Who was in here earlier? Who was he? He's had. his comment made it on here earlier. He calls him Missouri Mussolini because he has a lot of fascistic tendencies. Like, he wants to break up big tech, and he's also an evangelical. Josh Hawley makes my blood boil.
I don't even know. I don't know much about him personally.
You will not like him.
What's the opinion on Matt Gaetz?
I actually kind of like Matt Gaetz, believe it or not. Yeah, I think he's one of the better ones as far as Republicans go. Especially his stances on civil liberties and foreign policy. That's just me, though. I do think he's one of the few Republicans I actually kind of like.
Josh Hawley's one of these like evangelicals. He's more moderate about it, but like he's a populist. But like the thing is, he's Trump, but he's very suave, which scares me.
Okay, so this is the thing I think with the Republican Party. The thing is, after Trump leaves, this is the Republican Party. Like, it is ideologically, it is not going to change very much. At least it'll stay the same for another 10 years, maybe. Like, Granddad's conservatism is gone. Daddy's conservatism is going out the door. And now we have Trump's quote unquote conservatism.
So here's my prediction. All right. The Republicans are in 2024 are going to get the majority of the Hispanic vote, appealing to conservative social issues.
They're gonna. Do you know what they're gonna do? This is, I think, this is gonna be a brilliant strategy. So, I mean, if I don't necessarily endorse it because I'm not a huge fan of her, but I think the Republicans are going to try to get, and I think the Republicans are going to manage to somehow get the first female in the White House. They're going to go for Nikki Haley.
Oh God!
Oh
no! Why would you say that?
No.
We're going to sleep soon, and it's.
I was having a good
night,
night, man.
They're going to go for Nikki. Okay, guys, do you guys know Nikki Haley fan on Twitter?
Smith, I love
I
it
saw
so
that.
much.
I think that it's a troll. It's actually a troll account. I don't know. I can't believe
Haley unfollowed him. Did you see that?
What?
Nikki Haley unfollowed Richard.
Unfollowed?
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah, that actually happened.
Here's what happened. Shut up, Ray.
Top 10 anime betrayals.
Shut up.
Do you want to tell the story? Go ahead.
I'm telling the story. Just shut up. So I forget what Haley was posted, but it was not relevant because Richard put in her replies, "I would still love to suck on your milk." And then somebody replied to Richard, "Hey, dude, don't say that. She's gonna unfollow you." And he said, "Yeah, she just did."
Epic, absolutely epic.
I can't believe people actually thought he was serious.
Wait, is he a troll account?
Yes, obviously.
I don't.
What do you no? He had a legitimate meltdown. Like there was a whole conversation about that. Like he was for real, and he had like a psychological meltdown shortly afterwards. And like Kevin Castley was supposed to like come and like somehow talk him down off the ledge. It was real deal.
Oh, so Castley's actually, believe it or not, he's expressed an interest on coming on the political pig pen.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good. But I mean, obviously, after Richard had the psychological meltdown and everything, like Kevin Castley and the entire group of people surrounding him was like, "Yeah, so can we like cancel Richard now because it's proven he's a complete lunatic?" Like, I mean, obviously, people were edging away from him previously, but that whole incident like clearly illustrated he was a lunatic.
He thinks Ronald Reagan was a neocon.
Ronald Reagan wasn't the neocon.
No, Ronald Reagan predated George H.W. Bush. Was technically the first neocon president. I mean,
I wouldn't say George H.W. Bush was a neocon.
He was totally a neocon.
But I'm just going to highlight again, like if you guys are considering bringing Kevin
imperialists and
Castley on,
expansionists. So.
it would be a good idea to bring him on.
Like George H.W. Bush, he complains about the Hawks within his party, so he wasn't really much of a neoconservative.
But Bolton is definitely a neoconservative.
No,
he was not a neoconservative.
Bolton was not a neocon.
Yes, he was. He identified with the term, but now he rebrands himself now. He doesn't consider himself one now, but he definitely is.
He was part of the original neoconservative team. Where
he claims that he never believed anything that they believed, and that's also on top of that he was what does he refer to himself? He called himself a national something or the other, but it was definitely not neoconservative.
John Bolton also says he lies about everything. So.
Well, the thing is, so John Bolton is so bad. He made Steve Bannon look like fucking Thomas Jefferson in comparison.
He called himself a Burkean conservative.
Yeah, something like that. Because I mean, this is something that is seriously an important difference, because people just use neoconservative as this weird kind of like catch-all.
They do. In the same way they use neoliberal too. Like for instance, you have this is what kind of made me. This was like something cringe that Tulsi Gabbard said once. It was we need to stop all these neocons and these neolibs who are trying to take us into war. And it's like, okay, I agree with you, essentially, but you're misusing the term neoliberal. Like a lot of people and I've said this many times before on this stream, or not necessarily on this stream, but on multiple streams that I've done, because technically this is not an episode of Political Big Time.
Well, it's the problem of the day.
No, but the thing is,
nothing means anything anymore.
They say like neoliberal. A lot of people use that in the sense like, okay, that's the Democrat version of a neoconservative. No, it's not. No, it's a specific. It refers to it's more of like an economic axis. It refers specifically to economic and trade policies.
Think about it this way, right? Like this lack of meaning in like words and like just the degradation of what everything means is pretty politically advantageous for the people who are in power. Because most like normies, right, consider the Democrats to be left wing. You know,
they're not really.
Exactly, but I mean, most people think the Democrats are left wing. Most people think that they are like ideologically the polar opposite of the Republicans. But like, I mean,
they're split.
Well, yeah, there's a split, but they're not their opposite. They're the split. They're a split of one ideology.
Democrats and Republicans are not the same thing, but they are of the same thing.
Yes,
and that is the managerial elite.
I would say that both Democratic and Republicans are progressive leftists.
Oh God, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I was okay. So all of these different conservative philosophies we were talking about, they're all just different forms of Buckleyanism that have moved towards progressivism over the last 40 years, but moved towards where the progressives push the Overton window. And
yes, but conservative is a term that is no.
Somebody reads Mencius Molbach.
Conservative is a term that is relative to the Overton window.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure, there are the ideas that they're supporting at one point were the progressive ideas, but they aren't currently the progressives.
So wait, wouldn't that technically make, in the context of Russia, wouldn't that technically make communism right wing because it's the previously established order?
It is actually pretty right wing in Russia.
You could be left wing and a conservative. Conservative is relative to each country and culture.
Yeah. Like in China, right? I mean, the thing is, China's pretty much been the same exact thing for the past 3,000 years.
Make that 5,000 years.
No. It's been the same thing since Xi Huangdi. It's legalism. Like modern Chinese.
It's been the same thing since the collapse of the Warring States. It's
exactly.
been an empire that eventually turned into a council in the modern times.
Because the thing is, so communism is just the latest outward expression of legalism.
Yeah.
And I've had people from China attest to that, and they mean it in a good way though, because like everyone I know from China, like the way it's been described to me is, especially in terms of the culture shock, people from China that I've met told me the big difference between China and China and the West is that in the West people yearn to be free, where in China they demand to be ruled, because that sense of hierarchy gives them purpose. It's ingrained into their cultural lifeblood, so to speak. And it's kind of like they see it in the same. It's like the inverse as us here in the Western world. I mean, I don't think there's necessarily.
I would see it not as something that's existed for thousands and thousands of years. I'd see it as just a divide that now exists because of the fact that history placed these countries on different paths. So I think for most East Asian countries right now, and of course South Asia as well, for most South and East Asian countries, it's Maslow's hierarchy. You want security, health, and purpose first and foremost before you get like way down the line to personal liberty. So countries that are still developing obviously want to have the reproduction of meaningful order, and that is a very specific phrase I've chosen for a specific reason: the reproduction of meaningful order. And this is something that a lot of states in Asia completely lacked during the early early industrialization period, because of the upheavals of various revolutions, the incursion of European powers into the into the area, legacies of colonialism in some areas, and so on. So people felt as though they had been completely thrown adrift. So anyone who can provide the reproduction of a stable social order and the reproduction of a meaningful social order on top of that is going to get rated rather highly compared to the lack of that. So that's the only reason why I think it's perceived that one side has disprivileged liberty. It's not that liberty is disprivileged, but rather that is not the top priority at this precise moment.
Well, and like China is a very weird state at the moment. Like it's very class segregated, I would say, right? Like
No,
you have
yeah.
the people in
Anyway,
the cities
so
living.
this is again my
class.
fault. I feel like I always take us off of topic.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Back to the court. Back to the courts. Who would you guys, if Trump had to appoint somebody, who would you like to see it be?
I would always love to have Judge Knapp, but of course that's never going to happen.
No, I'd love to see. No, actually, I was going to say I'd love to see Knapp on there. However, my biggest problem is, so I'd love if he were on the court, but I'm just afraid that if Trump nominates him, the left are going to go after him and cancel him.
At a minimum, he'll get canceled. I think that might actually call for a plane crash or something of that sort.
No, the thing is, I want people to see, like, because he's like he's pretty much one of the only reasonable people on Fox News.
Oh yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I think Chris Wallace and Brett Baer, they're okay. And then Tucker Carlson has his moments, but he generally sucks.
Honestly, Tucker Carlson, yeah, he has some good moments, but he's just so like, so weird.
He was a customer of mine once, believe it or not.
For real?
Actually a nice guy in person. But yeah. Anyway,
I just don't understand the love for him.
Neither do I. I mean, like I said, he's a nice guy in person, but I don't understand he's entertaining, but he's not somebody who should be taken seriously. And I think he knows that too, because he himself said, "I am an entertainer. I am not a journalist." Yet people treat him like he's a journalist.
The culture war has ruined this country. The only reason Tucker Carlson is popular because people give two shits about a fucking culture war that doesn't matter. I swear to God. I swear.
Hey, can we blame Patrick Buchanan?
Yes, fuck Pat.
Yes, we can.
Oh my God, fuck Pat.
Sucks.
Trump is basically like Trump is basically Joe Biden wearing a Pat Buchanan mask.
What?
Or maybe not Joe Biden. No, Trump is a New York liberal who is pretending to be Pat Buchanan.
Is he?
Kind of is.
Is he though, really? Because I mean, I'm starting to think that these opinions that he's expressing on the national stage, they must be his own. No one could possibly.
No, he's grifting. I think he's just.
No one could possibly be that cringe for 4 years straight without believing those things.
I don't think he believes in any. I don't think he believes in anything. I don't think he has any beliefs, opinions at all. I think he just if he thought that he could win as a Democrat, he would have run as a Democrat. But he thought he could
have run as a Democrat, though. He just chose not to do that.
Actually, in 2000, he did actually run for the Reform Party against Pat Buchanan.
Well, no, I don't think in today's, even when he started, I don't think Trump could have ran as a Democrat just because, okay, so Trump's
criticism of Obama.
I mean, Mike Bloomberg did it.
But interestingly, no. Okay, that's a better way of saying it. He's Mike Bloomberg wearing a Pat Buchanan mask.
Well,
I don't know. I feel like Trump's would always ever since the 90s, he would probably more appeal to middle America. I mean, he was on WWE. That's not exactly a high-brained liberal TV show. You know,
I mean, my dad watched WWE when he was younger.
I mean, WWE is great.
No, but then my dad grew up.
It's great. Your dad grew up during the Attitude Era. That's good.
No. My dad grew up in West Pennsylvania, coal mining town, to a sergeant and a German immigrant. So,
but did he grow up
and now he's high up in the military-industrial complex. So,
but did he grow up in the 90s at the peak of the Attitude Era during?
No, he grew up in the 70s.
How old do you think the Politicrat is? 7?
I believe
exactly. If he grew up in the 90s, his dad grew up in the 90s, he'd be 7.
I've been able to drink for years.
That doesn't answer the question. Maybe you're European. They give their kids booze at like when they're 7, right?
Wait, Whitaker, how old are you?
What?
How old are you?
I'm somewhere in my 20s.
He's 7.
Yeah, I'm 7. No, I'm on a leap. I have a leap year birthday.
So yeah, wait. Are you telling me you're 24 years old?
Am I?
Yes.
No, maybe.
Yes. Yes.
I'm somewhere in between 21 and 27.
So you're
24.
So you're 27.
I don't know. I'll tell you.
You sound like an older
If he
Zoomer.
was born on a leap year, he has to be 24, right? Because the only year that falls, the only leap year that
I
falls.
wasn't actually born on a leap year. I mean, no. Was I?
Oh my
What
god.
What year were you born?
I'm not telling you.
Yeah, what's your mother's maiden name? Where's the first school you went to? What's your dog's name?
My social security number.
Where's your address?
I live at 103 Fuck You Street.
Okay.
So anyway, so what about Fogg? Ideally, who would you like to see get a Supreme Court nomination from Trump?
I mean, if I didn't have to pick off Trump's list, it would be like Adrian Vermeule. He's a Harvard law professor. He's pretty good. Off his list, I don't know. It's kind of a BoomerCon wish list, but Amy Barrett wouldn't be the worst. So
okay, I don't necessarily disagree. Grayson,
I don't know many people who I actually know would make a good fit for the Supreme Court, so I'm guessing I don't really have an opinion because I don't know who would be put. I know the type of person I want, I just don't know who.
what kind of person would you like?
Just a pragmatic person, probably someone who prefers civil liberties too, but those are the only two litmus, pragmatic and civil liberties, pro-civil liberties.
Okay. All right, Volt.
I don't know. I don't know. This is not my sphere of expertise. I'm mostly focused on international affairs.
Okay. Al-Kazai.
What?
As in, if Trump had to, out of people like the kind of people that Trump would pick, if you had to choose, what do you think would do the least damage? Because I assume you're coming from that perspective, from that mindset.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about federal judges.
Mop?
For shits and giggles,
I got a question.
Merrick
Actually,
Garland.
no, Al-Kazai was. Let's let him finish.
Yeah.
Thought he
For
was dead.
shits and giggles, Merrick Garland.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Do you have to be qualified to be a judge,
I think.
or can he just choose anybody?
I mean,
No, you can choose anybody. There is
I should be the next Supreme Court judge.
Oh,
Yeah,
then
there's
Vince,
no
if he could choose
restrictions or
anybody,
standards for he
Vince
could pick-
McMahon. Vince McMahon for sure.
All right, I can agree with that. That's a nice compromise.
Okay. And Celestial, what do you think? LSB?
you're muted.
Did I meet him?
I don't really know. I think I really don't know. I don't know much about federal judges. So, like somebody else said, for shits and giggles, but with a different answer this time, myself. I would love to be on the Supreme Court. Let's go.
I'm gonna say this.
Do
and this
you
is
want to go
somebody
through
that-
the process they put Kavanaugh through?
He can just call them racist.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah,
What could go wrong?
that's right. We have.
No, just
we
say
have,
you're a
we
virgin
have
and say you
a-
can't rape people because you're gay. Or something.
Can you imagine? Look how diverse this stream is. One third of the people on here are minorities.
1/3 are mentally challenged.
Oh my.
What's up, Volt?
And I include myself in that number.
I like to
Yeah,
say
1/3 seems a little small.
I like
there,
to
but-
say I'm the prettiest out the bunch here.
No, wait, there's all minorities here.
I don't know. Did you do a face symmetry scan? How symmetrical is your head?
Not. I don't know. I just like. Just.
I
so you know,
need me a symmetrical girl. That's all I'm
Well-
saying. Needs to be a cube.
Wait,
I
hold on. Who's all minorities here besides Volt? Yeah.
Reyes.
Men are a minority.
I
Who?
am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this being short
So-
count.
Oh, what
Just-
are you, Celestial?
Just saying.
Hungarian
I'm-
Americans are minorities, so
Well,
I'm
I
just
am.
saying,
I am.
I'm pretty.
I'm English, Scottish, Irish, a little French, and very much German. So I guess does that make me a minority?
I'm an
Hey,
yeah.
we're similar in that way. I have all
Anyway.
those
I'm
things
pretty
too,
fairly
and
similar.
it's probably
Anyway,
about
so
the
we're
same
gonna wrap up. We're
proportions.
gonna.
Also,
I'm gonna
black.
say. I'm gonna say. Why are you black?
So, are we gonna end this stream?
Well, yeah, we are. I'm just gonna say one thing, just as a suggestion that nobody brought up, but I think this would be the best choice for Trump. I've heard somebody mention it, but what about Mike Lee?
Yes.
Who?
Oh wow.
I
That
don't.
would be insane.
Who is Mike Lee? Someone tell me who Mike Lee is.
He's a
Senator from Utah. He's really good on civil liberties.
He's essentially just like a constitutionalist.
Yeah.
I don't trust people from Utah though.
Does he
Well,
hate?
he is a Mormon.
Yeah,
Does
I don't trust Mormons. They're not trustworthy.
Does he hate the gays?
No, he doesn't.
Then I
Hey,
don't.
what about instead of Mike Lee, Barbara Lee?
She's not really a big law person, is she?
is Barbara Lee.
She's not. No, she's
Well,
not.
she's
she's been in Congress for like 30 years.
Yeah,
hasn't
but
she?
like she was never a judge.
she's like a
she's
leftist
hugely
Democrat.
anti-war though.
Yeah,
like
and-
that.
She was like
wait.
no. She and Ron Paul worked a lot together back when.
yeah. Barbara Lee is very anti-war. She was the single vote against the AUMF.
Yep, and I
yeah,
would have honestly, I would have, and so I actually, this is one time I actually retweeted AOC when she was saying we need to nominate Barbara Lee instead of Pelosi for Speaker of the House, and I was like, you know what, I'm all
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah, that would be
if-
great. But
yeah,
I don't
Barbara
see
Lee's
her
pretty
as
good.
as like a Supreme Court thing.
No, I think she does. I
has
think she
any,
does
like,
good work.
law
I think she does good work in Congress. Personally,
Yeah, she'd
Yeah.
be better in Congress or in some place in the executive branch than she would in. Yeah.
we're gonna wrap this up because I kind of want to go to bed.
Yeah. We can wrap this up. So yes, it's a very, regardless of what you think of Ginsburg, it is a very our country has lost a national hero. She has done a lot of great work for civil liberties that I'm sure we can all agree on. Maybe she did a couple things that we disagree on. in terms
Mike did his Civil War. Huh.
Well, either way, I think that the loss of Ruth Bader Ginsburg just is another reason why 2020 is so awful. Like we should have seen this coming. We should
Dude,
have seen this
the
coming.
simulation writers are getting too crazy with this.
It's like it's like the I know.
Dude, I
it's-
can't wait for season 5 of 2016.
Season 5.
Did you
know
all,
that.
did you all actually see
2012,
those
the remake
photos
of
from
the
a couple of
reboot.
days ago? Did
Did
you
we
guys see
what?
the photos from a couple of days ago where it had like photographs of like RBG pumping weights? She's very, very healthy, no problems here whatsoever, no siree. That was like literally 3 days ago,
Cool.
Dude,
and now she's gone.
It's so creepy. Somebody explained to me how like 5 days before she died, Trump released this list of all the people he'd like to see on the screen.
Yeah, I was thinking
Well,
the
do you want to
same
know the
fucking-
biggest?
Why is it
wait,
so
wait.
close?
Do you want to see the biggest
don't-
expanded brain conspiracy theory about why she died?
She's gay.
Okay, so
She
you
got
need
the
to
Rona, obviously.
no, you need to expand your folds and think that okay, clearly Joe Biden assassinated her, so he
Oh
can
my
God.
motivate,
Oh, well, yeah.
so he can motivate the Democratic base to go out and vote. You know?
Yeah.
No, I
okay.
do not endorse these conspiracy theories.
No, the lizards
Oh,
obviously.
what a
Look,
lightweight.
the lizards who are controlling Joe Biden did it. It's very clear to me. You have to
That's
take
what
the
David
lizard
Icke
pill.
would say. Oh, do you know?
Yeah, you
lizard
have to
people
take the
is-
lizard
did-
pill.
You know what I learned? Lizard people is actually is actually like a dog whistle for Jews. And it has
Is
been
it?
this whole time.
Oh man!
Yeah, David Icke.
Oh god damn
David
it!
Icke.
Really? Is he
Nope.
anti-Semitic? I thought he just thought the moon was an egg.
No,
No,
it's
he's. I mean,
all-
he is literally anti-Semitic. Be very careful on that one.
Yeah,
But like
no,
a million
that's what a lot
people.
of- I thought
That's
I was skeptical at first too, but then I really started reading what he was saying, and wasn't it like who was it? It was like the author of The Color Purple or whatever. One of those
Oprah.
like African American authors. So it was some like famous African American author. Like kept always retweeted David Icke and said it's like one of the books she always keeps on her book or on her nightstand.
What?
Shut like that.
You know,
Anyway.
I picked the neoliberal subreddit. I think they're probably freaking out.
Oh yeah, I got banned from the neoliberal subreddit because I said that I think Kamala.
Bro.
I said I'm not voting for Joe Biden because of Kamala.
You got banned for that's amazing.
Cringe Mala Harris.
That's you need like that should be like a trophy up on your wall. You got
Yeah.
The neoliberal group has gotten cringe.
On a
Has-
serious
Anyway.
note, though, you guys need to vote for Joseph Biden. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you where your country's gonna be. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
Hellworld.
Hey, is it Boris,
Yes,
no,
I
Boris-
agree
Boris Johnson
that-
is an American citizen.
Think
I
of all
agree
the
that-
policy
Oh, he
changes.
renounced it.
Kamala is cringe Mala, and Biden is fucking a doddering old man with his brain leaking out of his ears. But at least they're not fascists.
Hey, you
There's
could always.
nothing fascist about them. They just want to control every aspect of
I would-
the economy and nation.
Yeah. And there's no.
Using
No.
imprisoned children to fight forest fires is a little fashion.
Anyway, guys. So,
Authoritarianism
we're going
isn't the
to-
same thing as fascism, and fascism
Anyway,
is always
guys.
authoritarian, but
no, what about
authoritarianism is not
guys,
always
what about
fascism.
what about
Yeah, it's a Venn
anarcho-fascism?
diagram.
Anarcho-fascism?
Oh yeah, totally.
An
That's-
anfash?
So then that's the ideology.
Anyway, guys, so final thoughts. Let's start with let's go backward this time. Let us start with Celestial. Final thoughts on Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death and the future of our country, specifically the Supreme Court, and
Real
specifically
sad,
the
bad.
shit show. The shit show that is going to erupt once Trump. Oh, I just want to say one thing before we go. I forgot to say earlier. Suzanne Collins, Rand Paul, and one other person said that they are not going to vote.
Lisa
on
Murkowski and Mitt Romney.
Yeah, it was somebody. It was some people like that. But they said that they're not going to vote on the Supreme Court on Trump's Supreme Court justice until after the election. It was either after the election or after the inauguration. I forget.
Well, that's a heavyweight move.
Anyway, so final thoughts. Celestial / LSP.
So I think that it's a bad thing, and I think that it portends bad things.
Well, very vague, but not necessarily wrong. Carl Menger.
I would rather have someone more friendly to the Constitution on the court than Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. I don't know if I'm going to say I'm glad she's dead. I don't like saying that, but I am glad that we'll have all these wonderful, wonderful memes. That's what I'm excited about. That's the most important thing around this issue is all these wonderful memes that are about to explode.
Oh boy, I'm kind of scared at this point. All right, next, who's next? Oh yeah, Mop, my buddy Mop.
Right in Sterner. World is a fuck, you know?
You know what? I'm gonna say one more time. I think that what's his name? Billy Joel should redo. We didn't start the fire, but make it all 2020.
World big fuck right now. Like, and no matter what happens, we're fucked.
We didn't start the virus.
Yeah, I mean it's been 40 years since those 40 years. Could do another one.
Okay. Who's next? So, Mop, did you finish what you were saying?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Who's next? Oh yeah, Grayson. Grayson, we haven't heard from you in a while, buddy.
Yeah. These meetings are fucking weird, but yeah, I guess it is a sad thing she died, because when most people die, it's usually sad. That's
Yeah.
just bad. That's a hot take. But I think in all seriousness, the political ramifications of this will probably be pretty bad, to say the least, in the next coming months, and we probably won't get any real resolution to this problem until 2021.
Try 2022 at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Who's next? Oh yeah. Voltaire, of course. Voltaire. I can't believe I forgot you.
I say we're all in this together. We must hunker down and weather this coming storm like we've been doing since all 2020. Just remain steadfast, cool, calm, collected, and vote either red or blue for the 2020 election. So just remain steadfast and strong. And also be like water.
Yes. Alcazar.
Please vote for Joe Biden.
Wait, you want me to be like water, getting drunk constantly?
I'm begging you, please. Just do it. We'll all be better for it in the end.
I'll vote Democrat, but I can't guarantee I'm voting for Biden. Hashtag Carter 2020 still eligible.
Please, Politicrat, vote for Joe. I'm begging you.
All right. Fog.
Wasn't Lieutenant Ginsburg. It's bad she died right now. I don't foresee things getting better for a while.
Oh, also after the chat for RBG, forgot to say that.
But yeah, I am not optimistic about the future. So
Optimism is cowardice. All right. Next, Ray, finally.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll say obviously it's very sad that Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died. I'm not anticipating that she's going to be alive anytime again soon. So
yeah,
we need to sort of move forward with understanding how this election is going to play out and how things are going to be politicized. So it's obvious that the culture war has been raging on, and the culture war is basically an attempt by certain individuals mostly within the right wing of the spectrum at this point, who have decided that they want to operate this gigantic reverse suction mechanism, which is reallocating wealth from the middle class and the working class upwards to the very top of society. And this big culture war thing has been their massive distraction maneuver that they've engaged in, because they want increasingly marginalized groups to be even more marginalized than they have been so far, so they can continue this wealth extraction mechanism. In order to prevent this from continuing to play out in that way, you need to vote, obviously, for Joseph Biden and for Democrats all the way down ballot. And the reason this is necessary is for two reasons. I'm just going to be very, very quick about this from my perspective. First off, if you believe that the ability to nominate Supreme Court justices, between 1 and 4 of them, that may occur within the next 4 years or so, is extremely important, then obviously having Democrats being in the position to do those nominations and to confirm them in the Senate, extremely important. At the same time, if you're also one of the people who believes there need to be less decisions made at the Supreme Court level in the first place, and that there needs to be just better legislation to protect the rights of minority groups, then again, voting for Democrats down ballot and for the presidency will probably be the best way to achieve having laws that are written in ways that are not ridiculous, which protect ethnic minority groups, and of course the LGBT community, etc., like whatever group of minorities you happen to care about. In terms of civil liberties in and of themselves, I mean, even on the civil liberties issue, Republicans are looking like they have increasingly bleak views of that, given that Donald Trump just announced literally one day ago that he wants to create something called the 1776 Commission, in which he will how you should perceive American history, and he will be forcing your children to view it the same way, which is very strange and bizarre.
It's kind of funny, honestly. At this point, I almost don't. I don't want to say I don't care about anything anymore, because I definitely do. But at this point, I've just accepted that things are not going to get better no matter what. Like, as in, it's like destiny at this point. So
But I mean-
I'm just gonna like Thucydides this shit, and
No,
I'm
but I
just
mean,
gonna
even
sit
if
back
you-
and just write about it.
But I mean,
watch
even
it
if
as
you
it
put the
unfolds.
bar on the floor, I would go as far as to say, even if you put the bar on the floor and just say, like, what are we talking about in terms of like basic rule of law? I mean, even then, the Republicans seem to not even be strong on basic rule of law. If you just look at just the past 4 years of what they have dealt with, many of the things which they've gotten up to, even on their most corrupt days, the Democrats would not have been able to accomplish. In terms of just levels.
I mean,
of
but what about
corruption.
the riots and stuff though? I mean, I think the Democrats. I mean, I think it's still safe.
But
to
I mean,
say
that's
they've
not their
kind of
party that did that. That's
been-
just
I know they've
random
kind of been
people on the
pussies on it though, like not condemning some of it.
No, it's not even a matter of like, do you condemn or not condemn? I'm talking about corruption. So
No, definitely. I agree with you then. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, the political parties themselves, they don't necessarily have control over what activists on the ground do. But when I speak of when I speak of corruption, I mean, I'm talking like just like incredible levels of just absolute ridiculousness. That we've
Oh no,
seen from
the thing is, the Republicans are good at playing dirty. They are good at what they do. I'm gonna give them that. The Democrats, if they want to win, they actually, I think, need to play the same game. They're corrupt in their own ways, but the reason they're like they need to adopt some. If they really want to win, they need to.
Being tough on some things. I mean, I agree that you said sometimes they
Because
need to sort of get under the bar. But I would say that Democrats need to make sure that their unique selling point going forward into this election is that they will not violate the rule of law.
This is the thing. In order to achieve power, you don't. Yeah, in order to achieve power, you don't have to make 300 million people love you. You just need to know how to make 20 people really. 20 million people really angry.
In the correct areas with respect to the electoral college.
You don't need people to love you. You just need to know how to make the right people angry
at the correct time in the correct place. I mean, obviously, Democrats need to really increase and up their ground game. And I mean, obviously, ground game also now involves social media activity. I think Democrats have taken a real hit from the fact that, many of their supporters were avid TikTok users, but now you can't get TikTok after Sunday.
That's hilarious. I fully support a TikTok ban.
I mean, you can't functionally ban TikTok anyway, because hypothetically you can just have an Android phone and sideload TikTok on it. So just because they've removed it from an app store doesn't mean you can't download it and operate it anyway. So I'm thinking that after Sunday, people are going to come to the sudden realization that just because it's not in the Google App Store doesn't mean you can't install it. And then TikTok will be back. They'll have to come up with some new measure if they're going to try to block TikTok. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, they'll put every TikTok user in prison.
I mean,
Trump would do that.
Again, this is the civil liberties argument, though, which is that now you have a Republican presidency that thinks it can regulate on what apps you're allowed to install on your smartphone, right? So even on the civil liberties issue now, Republicans cannot even do realistic signaling on that issue anymore. So, I mean, I think everyone who is from the center right, the center left, the far left, etc., at this point, the Democrats are your only party. And I think people are going to have to start reconciling with that. They're going to have to start reconciling with it. Like how Japan has basically, what is it called, sort of a 1.5 party democracy at this point. The United States may become a 1.5 party democracy at this point, where it's Democrats for the majority of the people, and then you just have this weird Republican thing on the side.
I'm sorry, as someone who's lived in California my whole life, I cannot agree with that. It is the Democrats have done mostly negative things to my state. It is has the highest cost of living, the highest homeless population. It's currently on fire. I mean, I just do not trust the Democratic establishment to not be corrupt.
But I mean, Republicans will find a way to make that worse because they'll just add to that a pandemic which they're not even trying to solve. I would agree with you that Democrats have not done an especially good job of managing California. I've made criticisms of that as well. But I mean, Republicans have managed to actually get under that bar, which I wouldn't have thought was possible in terms of administration if you focused on just one state, but they did.
Guys, I think this might be a good topic for another episode, but we are clocking almost at 2.5 hours here.
All right.
And I was trying to make this one a little short. I love doing long form episodes. Longest episode we did was almost 4 hours long, but that is not appropriate for tonight.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, no, but I would love to have all you guys on again sometime. Just let me know. I'm always advertising when I'm having an episode, what the topic's going to be on. Considering
the Civil War episode,
I should do a Civil War episode. I'm starting to think maybe Tim Pool has been right in his predictions this whole time. I'm actually not even joking.
Civil War.
No, but
Are you talking about a modern Civil War or the historical?
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Modern
Tim
one.
Pool was right that the Civil War really happened in the past. Wow, shocking
anyway,
take.
so what I was okay, guys. I have one last question. Should we persecute Scientology?
Yes.
No.
Yes,
we should.
they're
No, I mean,
both
it's
great.
not like it's a real. I mean, it's not like it's a real religion. It is
Well,
very
okay,
obviously
we should
a grid.
remove their tax exempt status for sure.
No, I was about to say remove their tax exempt status.
And
lower
David
everybody-
Miscavige, David
lower
Miscavige
everybody
needs to
else's-
be no. David Miscavige needs to be investigated for the murder of his wife.
Yes.
Also,
Also, abolish cut everybody's taxes and put that burden onto Scientology, and that's how the government collects its
Well,
revenue.
why do churches need to be tax
No.
exempt in the first place?
Well, Scientology
Because
isn't
any tax exemption to me is going to be a good thing.
No, dude. Okay. Also,
I would generally agree, but giving one group tax exemption and not another is not libertarian.
Can
I disagree with that.
Can I say
If there is a dollar that I am keeping away from going to create a bomb to drop on a child in Yemen, then that's a good thing. I don't care whether you're.
Anyway,
Scientology is literally has prison camps right now. They should probably maybe be prosecuted.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about that.
they have prison boats.
They have a prison camp in Southern California.
Anyway, thank you for coming back to it. This should be an American flag. Pretend it's an American flag. But yeah, tonight we honor Ruth Bader Ginsburg and everything. We will be back and do a regular episode of the Political Pig Pen sometime this weekend. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night. See you all next time.
Thanks for having us on.
Politicrat, you want to shoot the shit on Discord? Or are you too tired?